Upstate.
Well, I asked the question on this Wednesday, Diesel, what else do you out there, what else do you Tolos need to see from LeBron James? I know that there is a large majority of people who despise LeBron because they like Michael. Not everybody can be like me and like them both. For whatever reason, Diesel, you have to pick a side for whatever reason. But to start the show on this Wednesday, I do ask a question. What else do you need to see from 96-year-old LeBron James, who just defeated the Rockets last night to take a 2-0 series lead? That's the question I ask. We are live. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and we are in Greenville at 1335 Stallings Road, Greenville. We're at the Ingles Markets. We have an Ingles gift card here waiting for you Tolos out there. Again, 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville. We'd love to see you. Stop by. This is our first time, Diesel, at this location with Wire to Wire. It's a big day.
Yeah, I've driven by this location so many times over the years. I go play the golf course just down the road. Tolos, if you live in this area, we're just kind of halfway between Wade Hampton High School and Pebble Creek Golf Course. It's a great location, beautiful area up here. Of course, I love this side of town. I used to live on this side of town, and I miss it. But yeah, it's great finally coming to the store. As a matter of fact, I was just driving by here maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago with my wife. She goes, "How come you've never done a show at that store before?" I'm like, "Guess what? We're doing one there in like 3 weeks."
Sure. It's unbelievable that we have done this show now for all these years. I say all these years, these 3 short years.
You make it sound like all these years.
All these years. We've hired me already. We've had to come to work, right? And we've never been at this Ingles. So we'd love to see you. We'll be here until 7 p.m. Already 17 Tolos live on the stream, or you can watch the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Again, he's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. We'll be here until 7 p.m. tonight. Melissa's Moment coming up in about 20 minutes from right now, an early Melissa's Moment today, so we're excited for that. We'll talk all things Ingles and sports with Melissa Level, Diesel. But, I've been a LeBron guy my whole life, and he's been a big reason that I have been invested in the NBA. And going into this series with the Lakers and the Houston Rockets, I'll be honest with you, I did not think the Lakers would win a game. I thought the Lakers would get swept without Austin Reeves and without Luka Doncic. And now last night, the Lakers, without those two guys, somehow find a way to win, take a 2-0 series lead in a game where LeBron played 39 minutes, 28 points, and had a really big impact on the game, especially with his rebounds, 8 rebounds last night, +6 in the plus-minus. This Lakers team surprised me, but I will say this, and I know it sounds normal coming from me being a LeBron guy. What else at this age 41, does this guy have to do to win people over?
Well, the song goes, I want to be like Mike. It's not, I want to be like LeBron. That doesn't rhyme. It doesn't work very well. Look, LeBron is an amazing basketball player, and there are people who, for whatever reason, Cole would never forgive him for the spectacle that he put on, leaving Cleveland and going to Miami. He won a bunch of titles there. Good for him. He came back to Cleveland, and then he left him again to go play for the Lakers. It just feels like, and I'm reaching a little bit, it feels like LeBron is doing all the things that his heroes did over the course of their careers, which is, chase championships or go to prestigious locations like the Lakers. A lot of players have done that over the course of their career or played for the Lakers. And some fans just will never give him the benefit of the doubt for it. It feels like he's always chasing Michael's legacy instead of trying to create his own. You can't deny, though, what he did last night on the court. 8 for 20 for field goals. He had 2 3-pointers. Vintage LeBron in 39 minutes probably would have put up 50 points instead of 28 points. But it doesn't matter. You're winning basketball games. That should be the ultimate point here. It should be less about individual glory and more about getting it done against a team that is superior to you in the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating when I hear people not you, Diesel, but people out there bring up these different things about why LeBron, you can't give him credit for what he's doing at this age, at the age of 41. And I know NBA around here is not the number one thing on people's mind, but this topic obviously always gets people stirred up. It's just, I don't bring this up to try to get text messages today, to try to get phone calls. I bring it up simply because, like, I've watched a lot of NBA, and, LeBron James, for whatever reason, has a narrative that he's chasing Michael and all this other stuff, but what about Bill Russell? What about Sam Jones and KC Jones and, Frank Ramsey, Robert Horry, all those guys that have more accomplishments than Michael had? We don't put the same energy with Michael chasing those guys, right? Kareem, Bob Cousy, all those guys have more championships than Michael. My point is, LeBron James is doing something at this age of 41 that nobody else has ever done. And I think it's exceptional that a human body, and I know he spends millions on his body, rightfully so, but I think it's amazing and exceptional that a human body can still do what he does, because when you watch him last night and you watch this team, Diesel, it's like Tom Brady when he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That guy shouldn't have won a championship in Tampa Bay. He was too old. He defied, what do you call it? He defied the years. What was that? What was that, John?
Defied gravity.
No. Mother time. Mother time was the word I was looking for. He defied Mother time, and you know what though? Eventually, Mother time caught up with a guy like Tom Brady, and eventually it's going to catch up with LeBron James as well. Yeah. I just don't know what else the haters out there who cannot stand LeBron. I just simply ask, what else do you need to see from this guy?
Well, you were dead on when you said it's because around here the NBA is not a big deal, right? I mean, there are people in our audience who just genuinely despise the NBA because of some of the marketing tactics that they took a couple of years ago. They'll never forgive them for it. Time to get over it, guys. Do you like basketball or do you not like basketball? That should be the biggest question for you. LeBron is an amazing player, and the fact that he's still doing this at this age, at this high of a level, is a testament to just how hard he works. And it's worth noting all those things that we brought up many times before. LeBron is a family man. LeBron is a philanthropist for the city of Cleveland. He's done a lot of good. Maybe you don't love every single decision he's ever made over the course of his career, but you can't deny that he's not embroiled in scandal. He's not a bad guy. He's not out there beating up on wives and girlfriends. He's not doing all those things that so many other players and coaches, Mike Vrabel, do that the public rightfully admonishes them for. LeBron is a good role model, and he's spread himself around in a couple of different cities across the NBA, and he's a product of the era that he played in, the team-up era of, hey, these three guys are buddies on these other teams. Let's all get together and dominate. It's just a product of the era. If you don't like it, then you don't like the era of basketball, but come on. I think a couple of years from now, once LeBron finally hangs it up, I think the position for a lot of people on LeBron will soften, and they will come to appreciate and respect what they had with him, and the attention that he brought to the NBA was just incredible. There are great players coming up today, but there's a lot of great players that never got the same kind of attention LeBron got because he sucked up all the air in every single room he was in.
And I just remember over the past 10 years, I've had so many debates and arguments and conversations with people about, Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant being this, Kevin Durant being that. And Kevin Durant, don't get me wrong, a transcendent basketball player, an elite scorer. But, Kevin Durant, for what it's worth, he won championships with the Warriors, but he hadn't won a championship on his own. He hadn't gone to Cleveland and won a championship like LeBron did. Last night, Kevin Durant being back, 23 points. He was 7 of 12. He didn't have the impact on the game that LeBron had. That's number one. What I think number two is so impressive about what he's doing. Diesel, a lot of players retire in their mid-30s in the NBA, completely out of the league, about 38, 39. They're definitely not leading playoff teams. They're definitely not the primary scorer. They're definitely not the playmaker running the offense, playing heavy minutes, leading a team that's in the playoffs. And that, to me, goes to show what LeBron can do. It is a physical game. Yes, you still have to be good physically, but I think a big part of the game that people that don't like the NBA, if you're listening now and you don't like the NBA, I think one reason for that is you don't appreciate
what the game of NBA has to require from a mental standpoint. Like there is coaching adjustments and player adjustments that happen in the NBA, just like college basketball, that are fascinating. Like you look at these NBA games, Diesel, and like these coaches are constantly it's chess, it's checkers, right? You're going back and forth, making adjustments. And even though LeBron physically isn't what he was 15 years ago, the guy mentally is still sharp. And what do we always say about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? You remember when Peyton Manning played against the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl. I remember going into that game, in that Super Bowl, I thought, and a lot of people thought, the Broncos were going to get obliterated by that Cam Newton-led Panthers team, right? But guess what Peyton Manning had that night? He still had it here mentally. And that is what one of the things that prolonged his career as well as Tom Brady's. And I just think for a lot of the people out there listening that don't like the NBA, that might not be a big basketball fan, I don't think you appreciate how hard it is to constantly have to evolve, change, and make adjustments the way these NBA guys do.
I think a lot of it has to do also with the way the game has changed. You tune in to watch a regular season game, Cole, you see teams regularly scoring 130, 135, 140 points. And clearly you can see that not a lick of defense is being played in those games. Then all of a sudden, right, you get into the playoffs and look at last night's scores. The 76ers put up the most number of points of any team last night, and they put up 111. This is a team that used to score 125, 130 in regular season games. All of a sudden, now they're playing defense. Now we have competitive, hard-nosed basketball. No, they're not slamming into each other the way they used to. This is not the days of Kevin McHale throwing elbows.
But you actually have defense being played in the NBA playoffs. So, look, I get it. If you are not going to tune in for game 40 of the NBA season because you don't want two teams to combine for 150 points. Yeah. But tune in now because NBA playoff basketball, it's like a completely different game. Yeah. So I feel that way. There's just the same as you have people who are upset at college football games with a final score of 45-38. They would rather see a 16 to 9 kind of game.
You know what else? So I think we have to give credit where credit's due with one person in particular. And Diesel, this guy, and Dan B, I'm working on the audio right now. I just brought the levels down a good bit on my computer, so the stream audio should get better really, really quick here. This guy was ridiculed, and the Lakers were also ridiculed, Diesel, when they hired him. I think J.J. Redick deserves a ton of credit, and I mean a ton of credit. This guy has done a tremendous job coaching this Lakers team. And look, they came into this series against Houston being heavy underdogs. I think J.J. Redick deserves a lot of credit. Obviously, LeBron playing at the level that he is, you have to give him credit. But J.J. Redick's done a masterful job having this team prepared, having this team ready. Luke Kennard so far is like the Robin, not the Superman, not the Batman, but he's the Robin of this series, Diesel. He's got 23 points again last night. I think he had 20-plus in Game 1. Luke Kennard. When's the last time we've heard that name? So it just goes to show, guys are stepping up. The Lakers don't have any bench play. That's what worries me. You go look at what they did last night. They do not have bench play whatsoever.
6 total points off the bench.
That's what I'm saying. And look, when you've got Luke Kennard, who normally plays the bench, starting, when you've got Rui and Marcus and DeAndre playing more minutes because you have no Luka Doncic, you have no Austin Reeves, you're asking a lot more of those guys. If they can somehow, some way, get through this series and get into the second round. I don't know when Austin Reeves, I don't know when Luka Doncic can come back, but if they can somehow, some way get out of this round, I think it'll be one of the most impressive things LeBron has done. I mentioned this the other day. I think at the very top of most impressive things that he's done was coming back down 3-1 to the Warriors when they beat the Warriors down 3-1. But if LeBron and the Lakers can somehow get out of this series, I think it'll be at the top of the list. So very impressed with what LeBron's doing. Very impressed with what J.J. Redick's doing as well. It just goes to show that coaching does matter in the NBA, Diesel. Yes, you have to have talent. Yes, you have to have the stars. You got to have dudes, but coaching matters. You still have to coach basketball in the NBA level. People think you just run a coach out there and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter who LeBron's coach is. JJ Redick has done a masterful job.
And people kind of really criticize that hire because they thought, hey, he's just going to come in to be LeBron's yes man, to do whatever LeBron wants him to do, and then again, there's part of the criticism on LeBron as he has taken a heavy-handed role when it comes to running basketball teams that he is a player on. LeBron, if you want to go be a coach one day, go be a coach. If you want to go be a GM one day, go be a GM. But don't try to do all of those things while you are playing on a team. It kind of felt like LeBron was overstepping. Cole, it feels like we're about to get hit by a train.
There's a train.
Yeah, there's train tracks
Big train,
50 yards away from us. It's barreling through the area.
I don't know where the train is. Where is the train?
Everybody's looking around like, where is it?
It is in Stallings Road is where it is. If you just tuned in, Diesel and I are live at Ingles Markets, 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
We're here until 7 o'clock. We have a gift card.
We do. We have a $25 Ingles gift card right here. Think of that, $25. That could buy you dinner tonight. You could go straight over to the deli here at Ingles Markets and grab yourself some fried chicken. You could grab a couple of sides, and you might even still have a couple of bucks left over because the prices here are amazing. You can get whole pieces. You can get tenders. You can grab a rotisserie chicken if you're trying to watch your weight just a little bit. You got so many options over there, man. It's crazy, and this $25 gift card could go a long way. So what we need is for one of you Tolos to come here to 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville. Say Tolo, and this is yours, but you got to be the first one here, so do it quickly.
The last thing I'll say before we run to a break and bring on Melissa, I find it funny that when there's reason to talk, the ones out there in the upstate, and I know you're all listening right now, but you're just quiet. When there's reason to talk, the LeBron haters are everywhere. But when there's not a lot of reason and there's not a lot to get at LeBron about, man, they're as quiet as a church mouse. They're as quiet as can be. You can't find them anywhere. And you know what? When you bring things up like LeBron's age, Diesel at 41 years old, what he's doing now, and what was Michael doing at 41? Well, he wasn't playing. Nobody's
playing golf, smoking cigars.
Playing golf, gambling probably, right?
Maybe.
Nobody, and I mean nobody has done what LeBron's doing at this age. He was retired the second time. He had the second three-peat from 96 to 98. His second retirement was 1991 to 2001, and then we know he came back in Washington in 2001, and that was just kind of I don't want to say a retirement tour, maybe, in a way. We know that it was more of a...
he only retired the first time so he could set up the storyline for Space Jam, which, by the way, LeBron copied.
And
copied his jersey number, copied his movies.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I mean,
if you want to make a name for yourself,
it's a bad thing.
Be 22.
Yeah,
be 24.
Yeah,
make your own movie.
But LeBron's always said that Michael was an idol of his, and I mean, like people hate LeBron because he does what Michael things that Michael's done, but he looked up to the guy. When you play the NBA, you look up to people of the past, and if that's what people have against LeBron, then that just shows that just shows.
You are right. Most of the LeBron hate comes when it's comparing LeBron to Michael. When you look at LeBron on his own merits and everything he's done, irrespective of anything or anyone else, his career, his longevity, his personal discipline is incredibly impressive.
It's just touchy. It's a touchy segment. You start comparing the two, and people get butthurt, but they don't want to talk about Bill Russell having more rings than Michael, or Sam Jones, or Casey Jones, or all these guys, or Kareem having more rings than Michael. But it only applies to Michael and LeBron, I guess, right? That is
Brian on the stream says, but LeBron never had to play defense. And LeBron flopped a lot, too. Still does.
And
flops
he flops
the time.
a lot, but that has, in my opinion, that has zero to do with the caliber of player that he is. Yeah. Does that say a lot about how the game is nowadays? Sure. Go watch a soccer game, by the way. Go watch it. Hey, there's a lot of good players that play soccer. Messi and these guys are incredibly talented. Yeah. They flop just as much.
Well, I put that on Adam Silver for allowing the flopping to get as bad as it did before he finally wanted to do something about it.
It's bad in all sport. I mean, you go find a sport where flopping doesn't happen. It's a bad culture problem. But it's interesting to see he's just playing at an incredible level, and I don't know if they'll win the series. I don't know if they'll get out of it. They're up 2-0. over the Rockets. Kevin Durant and the Rockets now going back to Houston or to Houston for the first time, so we'll see if they can even the series at 2.
Speaking of operating at a high level, Ingles Markets and their marketing director are going to be on full display next. Melissa Level going to join Wire to Wire on the other side of the break right here at the location 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville on the Fan Upstate.
Clear, and you got the live read coming up.
Well, it's not just a privilege, it's a treat every other week to be sitting here across from Melissa Level, Marketing Director for Ingles Markets. We're here at the Ingles Corner Cafe at 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville. First time ever at this
I was
store.
going to say, you've
Love
been
this
here
store.
before. Isn't this great?
Drive by this one all the time.
Yeah, and
Never
it's got
done a live
and
show
it's got a
yet.
train that goes right by it all
Yeah,
the time.
we
It's so
felt
fun.
it. You could-
I love hearing trains. I don't know about you, but I love them when I sleep. You know, at
Yeah.
nighttime, it just feels like the whole world's still going. Everything's okay. You hear that train in the distance, and that's why I feel it. The store is great. They're a really pretty store. Lots of really good things in the deli. Everybody getting ready for Mother's Day.
Yeah, and the NFL draft, which is tomorrow,
I
right?
know it's going to be exciting. So I mean, I'm just wondering who's going to have the largest Maserati and the most expensive Mopo suit, and Pepper
Yeah.
Kate watch and everything else. You know,
Ooh. I think, you've got a great team over at Ingles Markets.
Right.
A lot of people that work really, really hard for you. I think you need to buy them all matching jackets. Then when they open up their jackets, they have a photo of Melissa Level stitched into the lining of their jackets. Just bam, bookended by Melissa on both sides.
right there you
How
go.
well do you think you know your stores? If I put you to the test and said, how many Ingles have a train track nearby, how long would it take you to do the research on
I
it?
could probably, if are you talking just in the upstate or all of them?
All of them, but it has to be relatively close to where you can hear it like we just did.
Yeah, I don't think there are many. I think there's probably maybe 5 or 6.
Makes this one special.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah, I think there may be 5 or 6.
That would be
I have been to every store
Yeah.
in our entire market, everywhere.
And there's
Every-
only a
all
handful
200.
you think that have a train?
Yeah, that are right here.
But you
We
should
have one that goes behind one. I know which one that is.
Really?
In Georgia, it goes right behind it because it rattles stuff.
and they
Yeah.
like throw the groceries off as they pass by, right?
No, but I will tell you something. We have a rail pit in our warehouse.
No way.
Because we used to have that's where the train used to come right into our
Wow.
warehouse to deliver before trucking was so
Really?
big. So we still have the original rail pit.
That's cool.
We don't, the train doesn't go in there, but we have a track right next to our building as well.
Private track.
I love it.
No, but it's not private. But it is.
Yeah.
But it's a big train. It is a roadway, trackway. I guess
Yeah.
you call it trackway.
So-
what is it, like a trackway?
Railroad track.
Yeah.
Pursuant to what we were talking about with the draft. We always talk about it with the deli over here and the
Right.
fact that you can make orders
That's
and
right.
they'll turn them around for you quickly. What would be your go-to menu for draft? If you were having a draft party at your house, and I'm sure there's a lot of Tolos who do draft parties and they do some gambling on, they get people together.
Right.
What's your go-to menu?
I would go definitely with our sort of wing platter.
Yep.
Definitely. I would go with our rotisserie chicken sandwich platters, which are just absolutely delicious. Go with that cheese and, not really much on big for me on the veggie platters because I just think they're hard to eat and they get stuck in your teeth. All that.
Plus veggies.
with
Who would eat
Who wants
veggies if
veggies,
you've
right?
got
Yeah,
chicken
but-
wings?
But I would definitely go, and I would go for the cheesecake or the cookie platters. See, because I have to have sweets
Oh, yeah.
when I'm stressing.
And what's the
Okay.
turnaround time on like a wing platter? If Tolos are trying to figure
Same
out what they're
day.
going to do, same day.
Same day.
A couple of
And
hours.
You can order online, and you can pick it up by curbside.
Love it.
Love it.
That's awesome. Football is, I don't know if it's changed, but football has always been known for like the wings. Like friends of mine that have owned businesses have said when
Right.
football season comes, the wing prices go up, right? And I don't know if that's still true or not, but Thursday night, tomorrow night, with the draft being here, what is your biggest interest? Is it Fernando Mendoza from Indiana? Is it obviously Florida State related? Is it Tampa Bay Buccaneer related? There's a lot of good players in this upcoming
be
draft.
interesting to see where we go with Florida State if he goes as a quarterback or a wide receiver. I think he could be great, either one of them. But I think Mendoza, of course, number one pick, obviously.
Would that be your number one pick?
It would be. Yeah, it
Mendoza,
would
you
be.
like him?
And I'd like to see him go to Tampa.
Ooh, not happening though. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it
They're
wasn't.
going to have to
Wishful
move.
thinking.
They're gonna have to move way
We're
up.
kind of right there in that middle.
I think you got the number 15 pick.
Right, which is
right
the
now.
middle of the road.
Right now,
okay?
these will-
Which is really a hard place to be in the NFL because you really
Yeah.
can't make any deals that make anything look really good.
true.
Okay, you're not raising somebody, you're not giving somebody that number one team anything to go for, and it's hard because quarterbacks go a lot of times. But our team has good people that have left. Okay, and so you have positions to fill. We need some good wide receivers. We need a good, running back. We need good tailbacks. Obviously,
Getting older as a roster.
offensive line and protection of the quarterback are important for
Yeah.
Tampa Bay this time.
As of right now, this is the latest mock draft up on ESPN.com. They've got your Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 15, going with a defensive end out of Miami. how hard is it to put away your Florida State hate for Miami if a Miami Hurricane is your first pick in the draft? Are you able to do that?
Are they good?
I guess. I mean,
good.
Florida State who?
yeah, it's
I
Akeem
can
Mesidor.
separate NFL and college.
I can too.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once
I
he's
can
out of
separate-
college, he's
yeah,
not
once
he's
out
not
of
on your
college,
radar.
He's not. He's taking a pay cut. That's fine.
That's true. That's true.
So I can separate that. Now, if he were to transfer from Florida State to Miami, I would have a problem. I might have to go lay on the railroad tracks. You can't go.
It happens for some reason in baseball. It happens all the time. Clemson players transfer to South
Right.
Carolina, but it's not the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Florida, but we seem to have a lot of movement in our teams. And look, Furman this year. I mean, they lost the whole team.
The whole
Pretty
team,
much.
it feels
the
like.
whole team. Okay,
The starters feel like
okay?
they're gone, yeah.
You know, and so I mean, I look at this, I think, come on, got to pass that score act. That score act's going to give that limitation to one move. And then from that on, you have to pay that penalty, 5-year limitation, playing in
I'm in.
NCAA. I mean, even if you don't work on the money, that right there is going to be a huge help.
Melissa, when you talk about fandom, with you being a Florida State grad, obviously when you graduate somewhere, it pulls more weight compared to if you didn't. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine last night at a high school baseball game, and I wanted to get your thoughts about fandom. You're a Florida State diehard, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. You cheered for the Bucs. You played it, or you went to Florida State. You cheered there as well. Has your fandom relaxed over the years? Because I grew up a Clemson fan, and since I've been in sports media, my fandom has. I don't want to say it's shifted, but it's
You
different.
sold out.
I don't know if it's sold out. I just don't.
You go where the wind blows.
I don't get upset.
Mine has not changed a
Do you
bit.
still get upset,
I
though?
am rabid. I cannot.
Give me a high five for that one.
I cannot watch. I hold my ears and go la 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 la.
let me
And
ask
my
you this.
husband has to tell me what happened in the play because I can't stand it. It has not happened. I hate Miami just like I hate Miami for every single day. I mean, I want to get out there and I want to be at the coin toss. So I can fight.
So you.
I just want to tell you, but no, it has not. Now, NFL.
Do you care the same that when I was young, I used to live and die on if Clemson won. Now,
Well, that's not going to kill me. Obviously, I'm alive and Florida
Right.
State fan, but I would be gone.
Happened a long time ago.
yeah,
You'd be having this conversation with
still-
me
you're
over one
still
of
as
those
passionate.
spirit machines because I become
right. You're still as passionate today, though, about wins and losses as you
probably
were.
more.
Really? Okay.
Probably more. I find myself making decisions on people that I know play for went to other schools.
Really?
Now you have to remember, I went to 3 schools.
Okay.
I went to Florida State, graduated, got my bachelor's there. Went to USF and got my master's. Now we didn't have a football team when we went there. A pretty good basketball team. Now they said, and I went to Liberty. So I have, I got some loyalties. Florida State still remains
Sure.
the only one that I really, really am passionate
Well,
about.
I guess we could strike Liberty out of this conversation, but which was the biggest party school, Florida State or USF?
We always were 1 and 2, Georgia and Florida State, for the number 1 party school in the country. This is how I'll tell you. We have a lazy river. You know, one of those little pool things?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't want to tell you what was in the lazy river.
Yeah, I don't know. Better not. Just don't even bother testing it. Just shower off as soon as you can.
That's incredible.
But there was all sorts of partying going on.
Yeah.
No, really, Florida. Are you talking Florida beach, sun?
Yeah.
People coming from. Yeah, we were a very big party school. Now there are some SoCon schools that are pretty notorious for party schools.
Sure.
Yeah.
Western Carolina, big
Yeah,
party
yeah,
school.
that's true.
Huge party school. So but I think it was always between Georgia and Florida State, number 1, number 2.
Well,
LSU
let's-
had one too. LSU has a lazy river. Also.
You broke this news on our show 2 weeks ago that Ingles was partnering with somebody on a very special new project.
That's right.
It's been open and operational now for about 2 weeks,
That's right.
and it's not far from where we're sitting
right.
now.
Right around the
What
corner.
can you tell us, and how is it going? How are people responding
Oh,
to your
it's-
initiative and
it's-
goodwill?
It's absolutely wonderful. It's called Replay. It's a section of the Goodwill store in the Travelers Rest location. Very important that we hope to grow that to other locations, but right now that's the only place you can go. It has everything from memorabilia to actual
wow.
equipment. There are bows and arrows, fishing equipment, Callaway golf clubs, Nike shoes.
I'm going to have to put my headset down and
skis.
go stock up right now.
I mean, tell you, this is the perfect place for people who want to try to play sports, either young or old, who want to enjoy it, may not know if they're going to be good at it or not. maybe they aren't, they go back and donate that and try something different.
Yeah.
It gives flexibility and choices to a market that is so overlooked in the everyday sports market.
If we have parents listening right now, I mean, they already know how outrageously expensive equipment has gotten.
Right.
Not only do
Traveling
you have to buy your
ball.
own equipment, you have to buy your uniforms, you have to pay to travel, you got to pay registration fees to get into these leagues. It's out of control how expensive. And it's big business. It's private
It's huge.
equity that's now gotten its way into youth
That's
sports.
right,
And it's
also
so expensive.
being marked and labeled for people that are doing NIL and other things like that as well. So it is hard to get in. I mean, I come from a family that struggled, and I wanted to swim, and I had a difficulty getting into some swim teams because I didn't have all the type of suits that you had to have and everything. And I understand how important that was to me. We scraped, we could change out of the bottom of the cushions, really, seriously, to get what I needed. If you have a family that backs you and you have the ability to try something at a price that's fair,
Yeah.
okay, and that allows you to be able to use it, that most people can afford. And then I also encourage people that if you have stopped playing a sport, donate there because you're giving that opportunity to someone else. We have everything. You can get Oakley sunglasses there. You can, I mean, it's just amazing, all the things that go along with sporting and skiing and skateboarding and all of it. It's all there, and it's perfect.
Now, do they make sure that all of the equipment is compliant for local sports leagues? 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's a big part of it, too.
They have consultants that have been working with them, and everything is ready to roll.
Good.
And like a lacrosse stick is like $40, right? Okay, that is $5.
Melissa,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. This time of year, spring, it's a beautiful time other than the pollen. A lot of the Ingles locations that I've passed have a huge variety outside
Oh, yeah.
of your plants. Talk about what the springtime could offer.
Oh, we love it. Garden centers are open up through middle of May. Okay, there are those extensions that we either have a full part of the building that is converted to a garden center or the outside fenced-in area that's a garden center. We have all your beautiful flowering plants also, but we also have trees and fruit-bearing trees, outdoor landscaping. We have lots of herbs and vegetables that you can go. That's such a great thing to get for Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's good.
People say you want to get roses. They go and they get in a jar and they go, get something that you can plant that your mom will always remember. You planted that tree for them, that bush from
That's
there.
right.
From now on, when they look at that azalea, they're going to know my son or my daughter planted that for me for Mother's Day in 2026.
We spent some time talking about this yesterday. As we're sitting here with Melissa Level, marketing director for Ingles Markets, talking about Mike Vrabel and his situation with the
Right.
reporter Diana Rossini. Now, this
Right.
morning, I was listening to sports radio, and both of the hosts on the show, where they were giving Mike a pass. Like, it's no big deal. The players on the team, they don't care. They're not worried about that. They're not going to judge Mike on that. You've been around athletes your entire life. Is that true or not? Do athletes care about essentially the morality of their coaching staff?
I do think they care. I really do. I do think they care. I think they care through extension of their families caring, okay? Particularly if it's collegiate. I mean, you're going to be looking at it and saying, you're not going to go play for that guy, okay? I keep coming back to what Lou Holtz said. I coach young men, not teams, right? And I think that down deep in all of young men and women that go into collegiate sports, high school sports, all of that, they want to be coached. They want to learn something other than just the game. It's a time for direction. It's sometimes the only direction that they may get. I think they care. They may not all care, but I think some of them do. Definitely do.
Melissa, when you the last time we talked to you, it was the Wednesday before the Masters. You had your pimento cheese and chicken salad already.
I did.
Rory went back to back. What were your thoughts on that? You a Rory fan?
I like parody. I mean, I wish somebody different could have had to win every year. I mean, isn't that silly?
But it's an amazing story. It's so rare to go back to back.
It is. I thought it was kind of funny about him not wanting to have his Irish food at the dinner. I guess
Yeah.
next year they're all going to go starving again. Maybe he can get second place to put at the dinner together. I don't know. I kind of thought that, I was tainted a bit for me with the Tiger stuff and everything too. I just, it's overshadowed. That victory was overshadowed by a lot of other things happening around the Masters. We had all sorts of political things happening, all sorts of stuff that just didn't make it. It wasn't as classy as it's always been. But his win was classy. He came from. I mean, I thought he was done for.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. And those are the kind of wins you really like to see, too, though. I mean, the ones that they had it, then they lose it, and then they come back and do it. I mean, those are, I can remember watching sudden deaths on a Monday or a Tuesday on the Masters between Tiger and someone else, and going hole after hole and going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Those are great,
They are.
And golf is back when you have things like that.
No doubt. I think I think golf's more popular now than it's been in a long time. It's not like Tiger popular, but it's very. I mean, we were talking to a guy last week, and he said, you can't get a tee time in the upstate. It's just this time of year. It's a very popular sport, and in fact, my golf buddies who are like diehard golfers that golf every day say, I wish it wasn't as popular.
Right.
Because it's tough.
And I like playing local courses. I don't play anything. I don't belong to country clubs. I like playing local courses. And for me, it's We'll leave the office one day a week at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and we'll go play 9 holes in Black Mountain, right? Okay.
Love it.
And it's just sort of that division between office and home.
Sure.
And we have to walk the course. There's no carts allowed in it, so it's great exercise. It's just a way to unwind, and it's a great way to learn and know your coworkers in a different way.
Sure, it's true.
Yeah, and
Also see how they handle pressure.
and competitiveness, how they can compete. And then there's people that, I hardly work with ever, but didn't have an opportunity to know just because they like that sport.
Right.
It's
Another reason to love those sporting things to be able to do.
Sure.
Because there's people that even work in my profession or my company that probably wouldn't be able to afford to do it unless there was someplace like a replay.
For sure.
And it's unfortunate because so many golf courses are closing, right? I mean, it's expensive to run a golf course.
Right.
So some of them are closing down there. They're all getting developed into new housing developments, and that stinks. That's a whole different conversation. But
Right.
we're going to end this with where we started with the draft. Probably my first big controversial, and I don't understand why it was that people who sit and watch all 7 rounds of the draft are nerds who need to get a life. I mean, it blew up. Who do you think you are? What's the number where if you sit and watch 2 rounds, you're okay. 3 rounds, it's getting a little iffy. But if you watch 4 or more rounds, you're weird and you need something else to do with your life.
I'm kind of with you on that. I have to say, I like 1 and 2.
You can read about it in the paper on Monday.
Unless you're going to get some good trades in,
Yeah.
and you're going to say, okay, they're going to get a 3rd round, who they're going to grab, right? I might just look that up.
Right.
Okay, I don't sit there and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
1 and 2, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm
Anything
glued.
more than that?
I'm glued. Yep.
Very good.
I don't
That's
even
it.
watch Friday. I watch Thursday, and then Friday you just keep up with it. Keep up with it online.
Yeah, but I'll do number 2. 2.
Still
that's
some
a lot
good
of
players.
people-
Two's interesting because you got
Yeah.
role players playing
That's
in
right.
second round. or
That's right.
Still some
drafted.
good players.
That's right. Mhm. I think
Melissa,
it's great.
we appreciate you as always.
Thank
you
you.
for letting
I'll
us be
see you.
here.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Let's see where
I gotta
you
get up
will
and check
see
out the new
us at.
store.
And by the way, I hope you love your new store. Have you been there since the grand opening?
Every day.
Is
Every
it?
day. Next time we see you, I will be out of the country, but Diesel will see you at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg in 2
Spartanburg,
weeks.
right?
Yeah,
That'll
and
be a
you've,
good one.
you've teased that my local store might be on the docket too for some upgrades, and I'm
Yes.
excited. I'm ready
Is
for
it
it.
the Malden?
It is the one. That's
it
that
is.
one. Nice.
Yep. That one is definitely on and the whole shopping center is, we own that now, so we're going to be able to
That's all. Love
regroup
it.
that. Mhm.
Melissa
love it.
Level from Ingalls Markets. We appreciate you as always.
Thank
we'll talk to you in 2
you.
weeks.
Bye.
We've got to get into last night not being a great night for the Atlanta Braves, but you can't win them all. I guess we'll tell you what went wrong next right here on the
Ingles gift card, but oh man, he was just seconds from getting it. He got swiped by Gamecock Billy. So Gamecock Billy came by, got the gift card. Eric was literally just seconds away. He said, Tolo, I feel so bad. But both of Billy and Eric, good to see them today. As we are live, Diesel, at Stallings Road here in Greenville. It is already buzzing. Melissa, she just joined us. It is, 1335 Stallings Road, and we're here until 7 p.m. Eric, maybe next time we're out here we can give him a little gift card, right? It's like the commercial. You got to be quicker than that. Got to be quicker. I love it. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Gamecock Billy. He was the recipient of today's gift card, so shout out to him for that. But, Diesel, all things must come to an end. Last night, the Braves' winning streak came to an end, and it was pretty ugly last night. The Bravos just got beat. And sometimes in baseball, you just get beat up. It was not a good night on the mound for Reynaldo Lopez. I looked in the second inning, and Reynaldo Lopez was already at 55 pitches in the second inning. And he gave up 3 in the first. He gave up another one in the second. They gave up, I believe the Braves gave up 1 in the 5th, 3 in the 7th. And it was just a bad night. Pitching, obviously, has been the strong suit of this Braves team. Their bats have been fantastic as well, and they hit the ball okay last night. They didn't hit it as well as they have. They had 8 hits. So, again, you had 8 hits. You scored 4 runs. You did enough to be competitive, but it was just a disaster for Reynaldo Lopez last night.
And the Braves just couldn't get it going offensively late in the game. I mean, they're putting up 1 spots, 3rd, 5th, and 8th. They managed to score. 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 8th. They managed to score, but they couldn't put together multiple hits, and that's kind of been the Braves' MO, is really timely hitting into gaps, power hitting at times as well. That's been what they've been all about, and they weren't able to get that done in the late innings of that game. You felt like maybe by the 5th, if they had really started putting wood on the ball, they could have come back and taken control of that game, but they just didn't have it last night. And it's like that. It's like the quote from Sam Elliott. He says, sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar, he eats you. And, the bar ate the Braves last night.
You saw a lot, though, in the bullpen. Suarez, who we talked about, he did come up. Obviously, we talked about it was Iglesias that went to the IL. So Suarez last night, 3 innings pitched, allowed 0 hits, 0 runs. He was good last night. Dylan Dodd came in after that, and you had 3 more bullpen guys come in. So you got work. You got work, and this bullpen a little bit under pressure, Diesel, when the Braves starting lineup has already not taken a hit, but been shifted a good bit. So interesting note, today's original starter, Martin Perez, will now start tomorrow instead of Chris Sale. The Braves were kind of still up in the air with their starting rotation this morning. They've decided to go with Holmes on Friday, Elder on Saturday, and then Chris Sale on Sunday. This allows Bryce Elder to pitch on regular rest, something that has benefited him this season. And by moving Sale to Sunday, the Braves ensure he doesn't have to pitch on regular rest again until May 19th. He is also lined up to start the first game against the L.A. Dodgers a little bit later. So 1 bump in the road. However, this is still a very good Braves team. It's the MLB. You're going to win some. You're going to lose a lot as well. The Braves back in action tonight, Diesel, though, and it is, once again, like I said, Fuentes, who gets to start tonight. And we're going to get a look at this guy in Fuentes that a lot of Braves fans don't know a lot about and see how he does. And this is where you can make some big-time money if you're a Braves guy, if you're a Braves prospect.
Yeah, obviously we'd like to see the Braves get the dub tonight so they can secure that record, being the only team in the major leagues that have not lost a series yet. It's a 4-game series against the Nationals, kind of not the way they normally do things, where they normally play 3-game series. But hey, good news is if you get this one tonight, you secure that. It's a stat and an award that means absolutely nothing, because they'll eventually lose a series this season. It's going to happen, but you want to get out in front of it now and make sure you don't drop this one. It'd be tough to lose 3 out of 4, especially that would mean 3 in a row to the Nationals, that are a good hitting team. And we were talking about them leading up to Tuesday's game. We didn't really mention that the Nationals are a good power hitting team. They got a great average. They got good power. They got, good
second doubles and triples hitting as well. So, it's a team that is dangerous, even though the record isn't where they would want it to be.
And it was just 6 hours ago the Braves recalled right-hander Dieter Fuentes to Atlanta and designated Ian Hamilton for assignments. Fuentes starting tonight's game, a little background on him. He signed with the Braves as an international free agent on January 15th, 2022. He's been up and down in terms of where he's played. He made his professional debut that season with the Dominican Summer League Braves. He made 10 appearances from single A all the way up to triple A over those years as well. So he was in Rome last year a lot with the Emperors. And let's see what this young guy can do. Born in 2005, the Colombian. Let's see what he can do tonight for the Atlanta Braves.
When we come back, Tolos, I want you to answer a question for me. And Cole, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. What are your top 3 sports personalities that you'd want to be stuck in an elevator with? And don't say Diana Rossini, you perverts. Your top 3 sports personalities that you'd want to be stuck in an elevator with. And my number 1 choice, Cole, I'm going to make a very strong, compelling case for why. Because he's a funny guy, he's a smart guy, and he has morals. I'll play that audio for you, let you hear from him, and answer the question next.
Clear.
Well, Cole, I didn't plan on us talking about Michael Jordan twice on the same day, but here we are talking about Mike as it pertains to him and Charles Barkley becoming buddies again. Isn't that great? You know, Mike and Charles, they used to be close friends. They played on dream teams together. They won Olympic medals together. They used to play golf all the time. And then unfortunately, you know, their relationship soured about 15 years ago when Chuck was just being himself. Chuck being Chuck, going on TV, saying things that Michael didn't like to hear. And Michael got hurt because, you know, as well as I do, Michael will use anything as motivation to get angry at somebody. And unfortunately, it cost them about 15 years of close friendship. But those of you who are old school NBA fans, you remember those two being fierce competitors with one another, but also being really close friends together. And it seems, Cole, as if they are coming back around and things are getting better. The relationship is getting better between those two.
That's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I thought it was interesting that these guys that spent so much time together for so long, even those great Bull teams that, you know, they were on the same team, and then years later in life, they don't even speak to each other anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And all of this, like I said, stems from an interview Chuck did on 60 Minutes back in 2012, where he was critical of Michael's ownership of the Hornets, basically saying that, well, he needs more no people around him. And Mike got mad at that, called him up, went ballistic on him, said, "You're supposed to be one of my best friends, and you do that BS." And he said, "How could I criticize other people for running organizations in a way that I don't agree with and give you a pass?" And like I said, that's one of those reasons why I have a tremendous amount of respect. Even though he's a goofball, even though he's a clown in the best possible way sometimes, I love Chuck, but you got to respect his ability to call it like he sees it.
Yeah.
And that's why I put Charles Barkley as number one on my list. And Tolos, I want to hear yours as well. 844-FAN-PHONE, text in, call in, message in on the stream. If you were ever stuck on an elevator with a sports personality, give me your top 3 sports personalities, pundits, TV hosts, athletes, whoever it may be, that you'd want to be stuck on an elevator with. Who would your number one be, Cole?
You.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh, I mean, what do you mean,
That's
Of course.
sweet.
I mean, is that not an
Sweet.
acceptable answer?
That's a great answer.
I mean, what are we
I
doing
don't
here?
believe it, but it's a great answer.
What?
Political. It's a political
I mean,
answer.
come on. I mean, you're sitting right next to me. Who else should I say? This is a really tough question to answer because there's been so many. And now I do want to ask the length of time stuck on the elevator.
Let's say you're going to be on the elevator. Well, it's indefinite. You don't know, right? When you
Okay.
get stuck on
You
an
don't-
elevator,
you don't know?
But let's just pretend, for the sake of argument, that you're going to be on the elevator stuck for an hour and
Oh,
a
wow.
half.
That's a good time.
Yeah, hour and a half, maybe.
Wow, this is tough.
Yeah,
this is tough.
You don't want to be on there with somebody stinky.
No.
You want to be on there with somebody interesting, funny, entertaining.
I'm going to give you one that it's going to surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you my 3, and then I'll try to figure out. It might take me 10 minutes, but I'll try to figure out how to order those. But I will give you one that surprises you out of the gate. The elevator number 1. And again, this is not number 1, one of the 3. I'm going to order them in a minute. Stephen A. Smith's on my list. Stephen A. Smith's on my list. Yep. I've always respected Stephen A. Smith a lot. I know that he has a lot of haters, but if you're the Stephen A. Smith level in the world, you're going to have haters. You're going to have people who don't like you. But
Yeah.
the one of the main reasons is I look at a guy in Stephen A. Smith who is one of the most successful people in his industry that came from where he did, that had to put the work in. He had a stutter at a young age, and the story behind Stephen A. Smith, whether you like him or not, I've always respected him. I've always thought he was very knowledgeable. He didn't play the game at a high level, whatever game it is. And I think Stephen A. Smith, love him or hate him, has been a great representation of, hey, you can make it in this industry. If I can do it, if I came from what I came from, and he went to a great school and got a great education and great journalist, spent a lot of years in a Philadelphia beat writers room, covering Philadelphia sports.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith's always been up there for me. I'd like to get stuck in an elevator with that.
That's a great pull. I didn't think of Stephen A. Smith. God, I wish I'd thought of Stephen A. Smith
Yeah.
because
like you said, it feels like you would learn a lot from Stephen A. Smith, and not just sports, right? I mean, he can throw facts and figures and opinions at you all you want, but I think you'd learn life advice from Stephen A. Smith. You get stuck in a room with him long enough, I think he's going to wax poetic about, like you were saying, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, of treating people the right way, all these different things. I think you would gain a lot.
I do too.
Not just in sports knowledge, but in life knowledge.
Well, and here's the thing with me when it comes to being stuck on an elevator. If I'm stuck on an elevator with somebody, I know your question revolves around sportscasters, sports personalities. If I'm stuck on an elevator with somebody, I'm probably not going to talk a lot of sports. I'm probably not, because people who make it at the highest level in life, I want to know. I don't really care about their sports knowledge. If I get a one-on-one opportunity with them, I want to talk about other things. I want to talk about, like you said, how they made it, what they did. I find it all fascinating. I love hearing people's stories. I love a success story. Some people don't appreciate it, but I'll tell you this. I've had many conversations, and when I say many, I mean a handful of conversations with Shane Beamer and Dabo, and the last conversation I had with Dabo Swinney was in Greenville, and it was just me and him, and I'll tell you this, we talked for probably 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes, we did not talk one bit of football. Football was not brought up.
Did you come out of that conversation feeling better about yourself? Like you learned something?
Well,
because it feels like, you get sort of a pep talk from Dabo.
no, it was more me and Dabo, and I'll go behind the scenes. Me and Dabo, the last time I talked to him, it was in Greenville at the coaches' clinic. We talked, again, probably 10 to 15 minutes, and it was not about football. We talked about faith for about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's all we talked about. His faith, my faith, and I left the conversation, just like you do anytime you talk to somebody about their faith, uplifted, encouraged, but if I'm in an elevator with any of these sports pundits, I'm probably not talking sports with them. And that's what's interesting about it.
On the stream, Dan says, have you guys heard what Stephen A. said today? He said golfers and NASCAR drivers are not athletes. Wow. I mean, I agree in the sense of athletes play sports, and NASCAR and golf are not sports. NASCAR maybe a little bit more, but it's man and machine against one another. Golf is not a sport. Golf is a competition where you're all racing to a certain goal.
A. Smith's corner now.
Yeah, you're all racing to a certain goal, but the course is trying to stop you. Stop it with that. Everybody's playing the exact same thing, and they get to go out and practice over and over and over again. But I agree. I agree with Stephen A. Smith on this. Golfers and NASCAR drivers are not athletes. That's interesting. Dan B. also says his number one is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning. Tell us why, Dan.
I have no desire to be stuck in an elevator with Peyton Manning. None. I don't know why. I like him. I just don't.
Could you imagine Peyton having to turn sideways and talk to you like this, just turn his whole shoulders because his neck doesn't work anymore?
I'd get so annoyed. Isn't that bad?
He says, let's see, because he's too much of a nerd, right? He's too much of a nerd. Even worse than getting stuck in an elevator with Peyton would be getting stuck with Eli. Good Lord. That would be terrible.
Yeah, and going back to what Dan B said about Stephen A's take and athletes, I don't know where I stand on that. I mean, you brought up Richard Petty. I have family that's raced NASCAR, and I have a kind of affiliation to NASCAR and a lot of respect for drivers, but as a NASCAR driver, I mean, they're an athlete, but I think where we have to decide where the line's drawn is what level of athlete they are, right?
Yeah.
I think they're athletic enough. I think you have to be somewhat athletic to drive at a high level, Diesel. You can't be a fat slob, but I don't know that you have to be a Steph Curry type athlete.
Well, there have been fat NASCAR drivers before.
Have there?
Yeah. What was his name? Jimmy Spencer. You remember Jimmy Spencer? Back in the day, he was a chunky dude.
Yeah.
And he would climb into a race car. I always wondered how that worked, right? I mean, he's a big guy, and I grew up camping in the Charlotte Motor Speedway infield, and you'd go out on Saturday night walking around the infield. You'd see Jimmy just pounding drinks, and he's got to get up and drive first thing in the morning the next day.
Can you be an athlete if you can do it drunk as a skunk?
John Daly did.
John Daly. Well, yeah.
John Daly did.
John
baby.
Daly. Good answer.
Have you given any of yours yet? You
I gave Charles.
Charles, okay.
Charles Barkley. I'd love to be stuck on an
Stephen A's
elevator
the
with
only
Charles.
one I give. While we get to our other ones, let's go to Matt from Ohio, 844-326-3663. What do you say, Matt?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Now, this isn't going to be a popular take with the Clemson fans, but growing up in Ohio in the 70s and 80s, one of mine would have to be Woody Hayes.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
There was that little
Yeah.
unfortunate deal at the Gator Bowl. But
He can teach
if
you
I
how to
was
throw a
gonna be in
punch.
an elevator with Woody
Yes,
Hayes,
all right. Thanks for calling.
I would also want Bo Schembechler in there.
Ooh,
Only to see
Together.
if those guys really hated each other as much as they said, or whether they really that was more of a for show. I've heard different things growing up in Ohio that that a lot of that was just to further the rivalry. I'd really love to see those two interact. And I guess if you put me on the spot for a third, I'm thinking of maybe somebody like Vin Scully. I remember.
Oh,
also
good one.
growing
Good
up,
one.
Vin Scully doing the when you could only get baseball on a Saturday, and man, what a storyteller that guy was, and
Yeah.
he would intertwine the game with the stories, and I mean, you could, for me personally, I think I could listen to Vin Scully for hours.
I like
Yeah,
that one.
phenomenal.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Matt.
good call, Matt from Ohio.
Those are good ones, especially Vince
guys.
Scully, man. I like
Yeah.
Vince Scully a lot.
Let's go to the phone line again and bring on the Leprechaun of Lyman's agent, who we saw 2 weeks ago at another Ingles market. What would be your three? And we'll hang up on you if we even get a hint of you starting to say Marcus Freeman.
Well, he's not a broadcaster though. So
He's a sports
we're
person. He's
not
a
gonna
sports
pick him up.
personality. He's a sports figure, and he counts.
Okay. All right. Well, if he counts, don't hang up on me. I definitely would
Oh
love to be
God!
stuck in an elevator
Hang
with
up on him,
Fine.
John. I'm kidding. Don't hang up on him. God.
The two that I was
What a
calling in
homer.
about, I don't have three.
Okay.
But the two that I was calling in about, I think Gus Johnson would be hilarious to get stuck in an elevator with. Be like, whoa, what? We're stuck. We're gonna be here a while. I don't know. That's the way I picture it going.
I
don't know if
didn't
that'd be
expect that
accurate or not.
That's fair.
But for real, the real personality I'd love to be stuck in an elevator with is Jim Nance. I guess we'll throw in a third one here too, Kirk Herbstreit. I think either one of them would be really cool to
See-
get stuck in an elevator with. You have a good conversation with them.
Jim would calm you down. He's like, welcome to the elevator here on
Hello,
the 17th
friends.
floor.
Yeah.
Hello, friends. We're stuck on the 17th floor, 17th and a half. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. It's crazy that you said Kirk Herbstreit. Number one, because he's an Ohio State Buckeye quarterback, but Kirk Herbstreit is number one on my list for who I wouldn't want to get stuck on an elevator with.
Really?
And I've talked to Kirk Herbstreit before because I would give Kirk Herbstreit a piece of my mind.
Ooh.
I really would. Kirk Herbstreit.
Ooh, he
Kirk
wouldn't want to deal with you either.
He made me mad like 20 years ago, and I'm still not over it.
I know what you're talking. I know
Yeah.
why he made you mad. I do. I
Thanks,
remember.
thanks
Okay.
Leprechaun's agent. Appreciate you.
I know the story.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you gotta
because
share it.
it's because the morning that App State was playing in Michigan, the morning that they won that game, he went on game day that morning and had somebody bring out a tray of blue and yellow cupcakes.
Yeah.
And said nobody wants to see this tray of cupcakes on opening day. They want to see big games. So, they want to see Ohio State versus whoever. Yada yada yada. And so I've hated him ever since. And he had stupid frosted tips at the time.
He
had
did.
the
He
frosted
did.
tips in his hair.
But hey, don't hate on people. I at one time had frosted tips.
Of
I
course
did.
you did.
I did.
Of
I did.
course you did.
I was a
Thanks,
young
agent.
guy.
Appreciate
Thanks so
you.
much. That was the agent, not Leprechaun.
Yes, that
we
was the
hadn't heard
agent.
from Leprechaun in a
Well,
while.
he goes into hibernation until
Oh, yeah.
football season
Yeah,
starts
true.
again, and then he comes back out. Let's see. These text messages are coming in like crazy. Eric Hines says, "What about Rob Brown?" I said, "Well, he's not a sports personality anymore, so you can't pick him." He says. He says he works at the Swamp Rabbit game, so that must count. Let's see. Buckeye Mike says Charles Barkley, Pat McAfee, and the second Rob Brown mention of the day. How about that,
I
Buckeye
love
Mike?
it.
See, I
Love
like
it.
Charles Barkley. Listen to this, Cole. You probably saw this because I know you always watch Inside the NBA. This is a clip of Inside the NBA from, I think, early this week or maybe tail end of last week. Charles Barkley, for some reason they were bringing up the story of Ice Spice, some rapper, not a Spice Girl, just that's her name, Ice Spice, who was in a fight in a booth inside of a McDonald's. In Hollywood, and they brought this conversation up. And, of course, it goes in directions that only that show could take it. Here's Chuck, and this is why I would want to be on an elevator with Charles Barkley.
Sorry about that. Hold on. Here we go.
Here we go. We got the audio.
Okay, come on.
I hear a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
but I don't hear the audio.
we hear.
It sounds like there's somebody
Okay.
fighting back there.
Come on, man. What you doing at McDonald's in the middle of the night, Ice Spice? Come on, stop that. Excuse me. To go. Thank you, McDonald's, for sponsoring. I love McDonald's. The NBA. I love McDonald's. Fish fillet is the greatest sandwich ever. Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal. I love me some nuggets. Kenny the Dip it in that little barbecue sauce. Charles, used to be your pregame meal.
Double dip.
A fish sandwich, 2 fish fillets, a large profit. I washed it down with a Diet Coke because I was washing my couch.
There you go.
Even back then, you were watching your couch. Yeah, you're right. Georgia Tech, please. Stop Georgia Tech. Rockets. You know why I call him Georgia Tech? Why? Because he's a rambling wreck.
Thanks. That's enough. That's enough of that audio. I mean, if you could get stuck on a show, you want to get stuck with the guys from inside the NBA because those guys together are phenomenal.
And I do respect the Diet Coke take there. I'm a McDonald's guy. I love McDonald's. I have never had a fish fillet from McDonald's. I've never had it. Not one time. Have you?
A fish fillet?
Nope.
Never had a fish fillet. No.
I hadn't either.
No. We're a long way from the nearest ocean, Cole.
I know, but I feel like I've got to try it at least once. I want to try it.
You've never had a fish fillet either.
For McDonald's.
Right.
No.
That's I don't know what kind of fish it is. I'm not willing to try.
Probably cod.
I'm not willing to try.
I would imagine like cod.
Texter says number 1 Cole Bryson, number 2 Diesel, number 3 Pat McAfee.
Oh, that's
his top
nice.
3 list. Pat's on my bottom 3 list. See, I don't want to be stuck on an elevator with that blowhard.
Brutal.
Yeah. Number 2 on my list, Cole. I would want to be stuck on an elevator with Rich Eisen. I love listening to his show every day.
That's a good one,
we don't carry Rich Eisen's show anymore, but that guy, he does such a phenomenal job bringing on athletes, coaches, celebrities, people who orbit the sports world, and I think his candor and his ability to have easygoing conversations with all of them is next level. It's absolutely phenomenal.
He's good. I like him. I don't love him.
Really?
I like him. When you have a name like he's done a great job building his name. I mean, when you have a name like Rich Eisen, you can get anybody you want, and credit to him for building that. Right?
Yep.
He deserves credit for that. But I do. I would go LeBron because I'm a big LeBron guy. Okay. So Stephen A. Smith would be on there. LeBron would be on there, and then third. This one's tough. Diesel. I'm going to have to postpone my third until later in the show.
Okay.
Later in the show. I need a good third.
My third is a controversial pick, and we have to run because we have Travis Hancock from WFNZ in Charlotte coming on the show next. Third on my list because I feel like I could learn a lot about really needling down into how to be good in this industry. I'd want to be stuck in an elevator with Paul Feinbaum. I know a lot of people would hate that. They don't want to be on an elevator with that guy. But I think, as annoying as some people find the style of his show, I think it's brilliant.
Paul.
And I think he's done a phenomenal job building something unique and special in this industry that some people have copied since then. But let me be on an elevator with Paul Feinbaum.
I don't hate that. I like Paul. I do. I like Paul. Hey, you mentioned Travis. It's time to talk Carolina Panthers draft. Travis Hancock, good friend of the show, WFNZ, joins the show next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Clear. You got the Twin Peaks coming up.
Well, this time tomorrow, we will be getting ready for the NFL draft, and to talk about it from a Carolina's point of view of the Panthers, we bring on Travis Hancock. You hear him on WFNZ. You've heard him on this show before. As always, Travis, appreciate your time and your Panthers knowledge. I want to know, will we get bamboozled again in 2026? We sat here, not you, Diesel and I sat here a year ago, Travis, and thought, man, Panthers, they've got to go defense in the first round. They went Tet McMillan. Do we have a good read on what they'll do this year? Do you think it's just better to be quiet and see what happens?
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. So we will find out. I know that they're in a much different spot and a position than they normally are. There's a lot of teams in front of them, which is not the norm. So it's hard to figure out who might be there. At 19, will they pick at 19? We don't know. It makes it fun that they had a better season, but it makes it tougher on the draft time to try to figure out how do other people's boards fall that affects the Panthers. There's so many directions they can go in. It makes guessing kind of more difficult, but that's a good thing because that means they had a better season last year to where they're picking.
Travis, it's Diesel here. You know, is it just me, or are you guys getting that same sort of odd calm feeling about their draft situation this year? I mean, yeah, we know what they need. They need linebacker, they need corner, they need receiver, they need tight end. And the good news is they can kind of go get best available of those positions at the time. And really, it doesn't feel like there's a wrong answer here. And there's just more trust in Dan Morgan and Dave Canales to get it right because they've had a pretty good track record so far.
Yeah, they can trade down also if the board falls a certain way. And, you know, I'm not talking about trading down too far, but they can go into the 20s if they want to and pick up more picks. I think there's a lot of value in round 2 where they're picking at 51. So if they can get more around that, I'm all for that too. I think part of it is I'm not downplaying the draft because we know that NFL draft picks are like Wonka golden tickets and how important they are. But it does feel like they're not, in this draft, they're not looking for an altering franchise changer like they normally are. It feels like at 19, they're looking for someone that can help elevate the franchise, certainly, but it's not someone that has to come in and it's not a quarterback near the top. It's not a wide receiver in the top 10. It's someone that has to compete and play well, but it's not necessarily someone that has to come in and change the course of a bad franchise. So I think that's part of it as well, that they're looking for a piece to the puzzle, not the biggest piece of the puzzle, so to speak, as they have so many times before.
What's the fan sentiment on trading back in your mind, Travis?
It seems like a lot of people have been for it. Now, you got to be careful because there's a fine line. If you go back too far, the fans start to revolt. So that happened today. So if you go back to like 27 or 28, you're fine. But if you suggest 29 or 30, oh my gracious, they're angry that you. How dare you go back that far? So you got to be careful. It makes a difference, right? No, I think they're for it. I think if Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, if he's there at 19, I feel like collectively there are some people against it, but I feel like if he's there at 19, you go ahead and pull the trigger and get the best tight end on the roster since Greg Olsen. If he's gone, and they go wide out, which for the third year in a row may not make sense to some, but the fact that Liggett hasn't panned out makes that a very much an option. If Omar Cooper or Concepcion at wideout are there, I think you can choose between the two. It's just a matter of which one you like more. But you could also, Peter Schrager today of ESPN had the Panthers taking Concepcion at number 28, which I think would be unreal. He had them trading back with Houston and going all the way back that far and still getting Concepcion. I mean, if you did that, that's a no-brainer. To get a guy you like at 19, get more picks. If you can pull off something like that, that would be incredible. I like wideout or playmaker, tight end or wideout at 19. Speed wideout, that is, not just a big-bodied guy like the other guys are. But playmaker 19, I would go defense at 51 because I think there's a lot of value at the safeties and the linebackers and some defensive tackles like Lee Hunter if he's there out of Texas Tech. And then I would address the center spot in round number 3 because I do think they need to address the center of the future. So I would go playmaker, defense, center on my perfect combo of picks in the first game.
Any pushback from the fans? You being there in Charlotte, I know you get the Tar Heel fans, you get the Wolfpack fans, you kind of get the mix of everything there on Casey Concepcion, considering he played 2 years at NC State and then left to go to Texas A&M. Any particular feelings or vibes from your audience and fan base on him specifically?
No, and I think there's 2 reasons that he's also a Charlotte guy, so that helps out and kind of supersedes maybe what happened at NC State. There's some. Also, he's got quite a story of overcoming stuttering, and he sent out the letter to all the GMs, and it feels like it's kind of winning over the hearts and minds maybe of the fans that were upset about that. There are some fans that call him Dropsion, AC Dropsion, or something like that. So. The dumb nicknames. So, that does come in. But I think the large majority views him as a Charlotte guy. And the fact that he has speed, which this roster needs on offense, certainly that helps out as well. But there's always going to be some State fans that are a little bit jaded off that, but not too many.
Travis, when you talked about Liggett a minute ago, you know how, like, in previous drafts, quarterbacks have gotten their feelings based on who's selected in the NFL draft. Any chance that happens tomorrow night or this weekend with Liggett, who you said it had, I don't want to put words in your mouth, hasn't been what we expected him to be?
No, I think that he's really not done much of anything we thought he was going to do. And I'm a Gamecock fan, and I really stumped for him and wanted him badly in the draft because the character and the football that I thought we were getting was a no-brainer for the Panthers, and the personality's been there. Fans want to love him for that. It's just not been there. So I think that, look, if he's not motivated by the Panthers going T-Mac last year, maybe going wide receiver again this year, then I just don't know. I don't want to write him off. I'm still rooting for him, but he's got to earn it, and he hasn't yet. And whether he earns it here or, a move happens and he goes somewhere else, I don't want to write off a guy of that skill level, but he's had opportunities. It hasn't panned out. So I'm rooting for him. I don't know if he's done enough to really get in his feelings yet. I think he's got to use it for motivation for himself rather than being, upset with the team type thing.
Development, especially with quarterbacks, is rarely linear. There are ups and downs. It feels like last year was obviously an up year for Bryce. What are you expecting, or what are you thinking about his now, what is this, 4th year development in the NFL? Or are you expecting just even more up and up linear progression from him?
Yeah, well, I had this thought when I was stuck in traffic yesterday for far too long because that's where most of my thinking gets done. So I started thinking about Bryce while I wasn't moving. And I started to think, man, it's, the offensive line has some questions about the future of the line because they have Rasheed Walker on a 1-year deal. Moton's getting older, but in the center spot that I mentioned. But I still think for next season, the offensive line will be fine. They're focusing a lot on getting him weapons year after year. I think, I said this yesterday and people thought it was dumb, and I get on the surface. I think he's poised for a big-time year. I think he's poised for a Pro Bowl year, and I know Shedeur Sanders made the Pro Bowl. I know it doesn't matter, but I just mean numbers-wise in the NFC, I think he can be way up there. I think you're going to – now, they have to let him sling it and open it up a little bit more than they do. I think Bryce is poised for a big year, especially if they add another playmaker, whether it's Sadiq or Speed. I think Bryce is ready to go to another level, and I'll stand by that. I think you're going to start to see Bryce look much more like the guy in year 4 that they expected from the get-go.
Travis, what was your biggest takeaway? Dan Morgan spoke to the media last week. Anything pressing? Obviously, the usual pre-draft press conference. What was your biggest takeaway from what Dan said?
Yeah, it's hard to – he's not an easy guy to read. Canales is actually much more open at times with what he says. Morgan, man, he's stealth. It's hard to get by those linebacker eyes and what he's saying. I I don't really know exactly what to think about what he said. I do know today I did, it's smokescreen season, so we're trying to figure out what means something, what doesn't mean anything. Today at the same time, Albert Breer, Dan Graziano, and I forget, Rappaport, they all tweeted out within 5 minutes that the Panthers may jump the Lions for an offensive lineman in the first round, all at the same time. The same wording, and it was like, that feels like one of those got a mass text on the Panthers intel trying to entice teams to move up to take an offensive lineman because that's the area where they're at where teams will want one. So, yeah, whether it's the national media guys' intel or what Dan Morgan is saying, I don't believe anything that anybody said this week at all, except for you guys. I believe what you guys are saying. I trust you.
Is the signage outside of the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill positive these days, or is it, there's not a whole lot to pick apart, especially now that, Dave Tepper has really taken a step back and letting the people he trusts, the football people, make football decisions. Are they still, what do they even have to go after over at Dilworth?
Well, they're on the Hornets right now. They've been focused on their Hornets side. So I have not been by in a while. And in full disclosure, a couple months ago, I had a first date. And I took her to the Dilworth Grill, and I never got a second date. I don't blame them for it. I don't blame them, but I've decided, you know what, I need to, maybe that might not be my venue for a little bit here, right? So I have not actually driven by there. I've actually gone out of my way to not go back to the scene of the crime there. So.
Travis, have you guys been able to get a good gauge on what Dan Morgan's philosophy is? And if it's consistent year to year, the big debate of, do you go with need or best player available? He said last week when it comes to a tight end that if they're the best player at a certain point, we wouldn't hesitate. Have you gotten a good pulse on what his philosophy is when it comes to where he does draft players and what he values more so than others?
I think it's more need than BPA. One theme that we often talk about is he has a certain type of player that he gravitates towards. When you talk to these guys or you get to know these guys or you read their backstories, they're all very similar. It's often high character guys who off the field have varied interests, have a lot of – it's hard to explain, but every player we talk to, we read their bio, we go, oh, yeah, this guy is – into this, and this away from the field, or there's character things. They're all high character guys. So when we start to read about prospects, you get the sense now when you read about a guy's bio, you can go, oh, that's a Dan Morgan type player. He has a certain type of player that he signs. Like Devin Lloyd is known as a great guy. Signed him. Jalen Phillips is a well-rounded human being. Signed him. All the draft picks. They have interests far beyond football. So when we read about these guys, we can now figure out, oh, this is a Morgan guy. Oh, this is a Morgan guy. To a man, all of them are very similar in nature. So if you read about a guy's character and not just football character, it's got to be a good football player. But if they're a good football player with high character that love the game, Dan Morgan's often drawn to those guys. So the BPA thing and the need thing is one thing, and I think it's need. And I do know when I see a Dan Morgan guy or read about one, I can tell you right away that would make sense for the Panthers.
Travis, I wasn't going to go there, but you did, so let's open this thing up. Your Charlotte Hornets fans, are they still sore over the way that season ended? It's been 5 days. Have they reached the point where they're appreciative of the great season that they had, or are they still mad about the ugly fashion with which it ended?
Well, we're getting better. We're moseying around here. The draft is going to help us out. The people that wanted to trade Con Knipple and Brandon Miller on Monday, I think, have now sort of rethought their philosophies. Charles Lee was fired. Con was traded. Con, by the way, I had a guy yesterday tell me that it wasn't about the first 72 games. It's about what you do in the last 10 games. So he wanted Con gone. He compared Con to Jimmer Fredette. So I do believe once we've sort of stepped back and realized that this team made great strides, the future still it's a disappointment, no doubt, but it's not a failure, right? There's two different things. Like, I think Duke not winning it the last couple of years, I'm a Duke fan, Duke not winning it the last couple of years has been a failure. But, that's because of the expectations and who they're supposed to be. A Hornets team not getting that far after a 4-14 start, that's a disappointment. Now, the expectations will grow over time as they evolve, and it'll be a failure at some point, most likely. But no, right now it's more disappointment. But there's also hope for the future because they've got Melo, they've got Tom, they've got Miller, they've got a ton of first-round picks in the next 4 or 5 years in this draft. So this isn't like one of those thrown-together teams where it had to happen immediately. So I think that everyone's sort of excited for the future. Disappointed, but excited for what's to come.
Hey, Travis, what about, you mentioned as we let you go, first date up at Dilworth's. What about Noble Smoke? First date, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
That's the best.
That's
it's my favorite spot in Charlotte.
And I know that, like, you can talk about the meats and all that. They have a Heath Bar pudding there that'll make your knees buckle.
So good.
So it's
Unbelievable.
That's not far from the station. That's a spot. Yeah, that's where a lot of stuff happens in terms of the Hornets will hold. Charles Lee will meet us there before the season and talk to us. So it's a good spot, man. No doubt. Good call.
I love it.
You hear him every day on
Next time you're in town, and next time you're here, you can buy me some. How about that?
Deal. You've got it. I apologize for not.
I'm sorry. I meant Diesel will buy.
There you go. I like that even better.
Radio in Charlotte must pay different than it does down here in Greenville. Goodness gracious.
I just started. I've been doing it for 21 years. They just started to pay me within the last year.
Yeah. We can attest. Travis, you're the best, man.
All right, man. Thank you, guys. Have a good week. Enjoy the draft.
Thanks, guys. That's Travis Hancock, WFNZ in Charlotte. Check them out as often as you can. They do a phenomenal job up there. One of the best sports talk shows.
No doubt.
Especially local sports talk shows that I've heard around, Cole. They're great. We love them. When we come back, Cole, let's do our quick whip around because there's a lot going on in the sports world that we haven't got to yet today. Our Daily Wires coming up next.
Clean.
Nice.
Well, these daily wires keep getting faster and faster, Cole, because we got a lot to get to. These are your daily wires, the buzz happening around the sports world. The Atlanta Braves still good, still leading the the only team that has not lost a series, but they have fallen now, dropped to 16-8 on the season. They lost 11-4 to the Nationals last night. Martin Perez on the bump tonight for the Braves. 6:45, Game 3 of a 4-game set.
You never want to lose, but the good thing is the Phillies and Nationals also lost, so you still have a 5-game lead in the division.
Oh, and the Mets lost. The Mets just keep finding ways to lose.
Losing.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
More on that coming up a little bit later in the show. In the NBA last night, the 76ers tied the series with the Celtics at 1-1 after a 111-97 win over the Boston Celtics. The Blazers tied the series at 1 with the Spurs, 106-103 win for them. And the Lakers took a 2-0 lead over the Rockets, 101-94. Also in the association last night, Cole, I'm sure obviously you saw it. Wemby took that tumble, and that was hard to watch because you thought maybe he's just going to pop right back up and feel good. But like when he finally got up, you saw just how woozy he was. It was wild
slow
stuff.
motion of his chin hitting the floor and then him falling asleep. That was, I'm not going to lie, that was scary.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of, just catching his breath there for a second, but I think he might have been out. He might have been out.
It was really bad.
In the NBA tonight, Magic Pistons are going to play at 7 o'clock as the Magic hold a 1-0 series lead, and the Suns will battle the Thunder at 9:30. OKC leading 1-0 in that one. As we just mentioned, Victor Wembanyama, he sustained a concussion on that fall, by the way. He played just 12 minutes before coming out, and obviously that's a big piece to lose in that basketball game. When your best player goes down, it tends to affect how you play.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
The Clemson Tigers are now 26-16 on the season after a 7-2 win over USC Upstate last night. Clemson back in action Friday at Louisville. Can they get a road series win this weekend?
They might can get one. I don't know if they get more than one, but they've been struggling. It's bad. That's kind of been their MO. Like they're good enough to get one game against good ACC opponents, and then the elite opponents, they usually get swept. So let's see if they can change that mantra this weekend.
South Carolina back in the win column again. They beat PC 9-3 last night. They're back in action on Friday against Kentucky. Wofford Terriers won their 30th game of the season.
That?
They're white hot in Spartanburg last night, 20-1 over Queens. Unbelievable, Cole. What an outburst there. Terriers back in action on Friday as they travel to Macon to take on the Mercer Bears.
JJ's done a great job leading that program, man. Yeah. And Spartanburg, they're in the hunt for the SoCon every year. And the tournament that's played at Floor Field, they're a very good program. And JJ had big footsteps to follow when he took that job. JJ Edwards has done a really good job at Wofford.
We mentioned this on the show yesterday. Worth bringing back up. Number one, it's about the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, and it's about our friend Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. She reported that Dawn Staley's program was the only SEC program that did not lose a player to the transfer portal this year. Wow.
It's pretty good, right?
That's incredible.
Pretty good.
Yeah, everybody who comes there wants to stay. That's a big deal. Here's one. Transfer quarterback Ashton Daniels, who was formerly an Auburn Tiger, has now been named the starting quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles this year. Head coach Mike Norvell praised his ability to live in the pocket and deliver the ball accurately.
I like it.
And last one here for you on our Daily Wires, Colt. This is, second to last one. Multiple outlets are now reporting that Deshaun Watson will start the season as QB1 for the Cleveland Browns, with Shedeur Sanders being his QB2.
I find that hard to believe. I'm not saying it's not true. I hear that, and I think, wow. Okay.
I mean, they're paying him. They got to play him, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one here for you, Tolos. The Carolina Hurricanes are back in action tomorrow at Ottawa in the Eastern Conference first round. They lead the series 2-0. Would be nice for them to take a commanding 3-0 lead over the Senators.
Sure would. Sure would. They've been off to a good start in this postseason. We'll see if it continues. Tolos, hour number 3 of the show. Coming up next, we want you to be a part of it, 844-326-3663. It is crunch time with these mock drafts. I want to get into that. Also, some news that just came across about Kalen DeBoer We'll react to that, spend a little bit of time breaking that down in the very next segment right here on the Fan Upstairs.
The Fan, Upstate.
Well, everybody has a mock draft, Diesel, but what I do want to know on this Wednesday is we're live at Ingalls and Greenville on Stallings Road, 1335 Stallings Road, by the way. I want to know why there's not more accountability. And I don't mean like they have to be punished, but I do think there is a large area that's missed every year when it comes to stories that could be done post-draft. What do I mean? This time of year, for the past couple of months, leading into tomorrow, everybody has a mock draft. Everybody's the expert, right? Mm-hmm. Peter Schrader. We just talked about his mock draft. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. Everybody's got a mock draft. Why are there not more stories done post-draft, finding out if those mocks were correct or incorrect? How experts perform in the mock draft. I think it would be fun. You know how we do that with March Madness brackets? Yep. We keep tally. Let's see who the best mock draft expert is. It's like when the draft is over, there's no whisper of how these experts actually did. We're just reacting to what happened.
Yeah, it's a tough business, right? Predicting what's going to happen because teams will unexpectedly trade picks, and that throws a monkey wrench into everything, right? I mean, we talk about it every year when we get into college football and the Phil Steele magazine and the other prediction magazines. That job has just gotten infinitely harder, predicting how teams are going to perform, given the fact that there's so much rapid player movement. It's kind of the same thing in the draft. I don't know that it's necessarily fair to judge all these different pundits, even though we would, right? Of course, we absolutely would judge them on it. It's still not fair to judge them on it, just given the fact that, seismic shifts can happen, and all of a sudden this draft that you've predicted on, that you think what's going to happen, that you think these teams are going to stay put, you think maybe this team is interested in a trade, all of a sudden, bam, something unexpected happens, and it changes literally everything. Now, if you wanted to rate them based on their accuracy of, I think these teams need these position groups, and here's what they actually did, fine. I think that's a valuable thing. You're more evaluating how accurate they were in principle, not based on how the order actually shook out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's really interesting, though, because we do this in sports media. We grade people for their takes, and we love to bring up bad takes, freezing cold takes, right? We love to do that. But when the draft is over, we never actually go back and look and see how these experts did.
Maybe we should.
In their mocks. And maybe we should. Maybe we should. Maybe we should keep the receipts.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to look at Peter Schrager today, Diesel.
Yeah, let's take their are we going to use their most recent or the last one before the draft actually begins and see how accurate they were?
Yep. I'm going to put them up on the studio walls in the station, pick by pick. Schrager, Kiper, McShay, all of them. Calling out all of them, keeping receipts. For example, let's go through Peter Schrager's. We haven't gone through this completely. We've hinted at it. But I like Peter Schrager. I think he's well-respected. I think he's got good connections across the league. And I think he certainly knows what he's talking about. So let's go through his. Let's be critical. Can we do that? I think so. I think so. We can be critical when it comes to Peter Schrager's mock draft. If we think these are slam dunks, if we think he's going to be right with this pick, if we think he's going to be wrong, what we think of the picks. We start with number 1, and it is a foregone conclusion, right? Who the number 1 pick is, Diesel. There is no debate. There's no dispute that Fernando Mendoza will go to the Las Vegas Raiders. This pick could have been made in January, they say, as soon as he entered the NFL draft, and it is officially mock drafts start this year at number 2.
It seems like it would be the most boneheaded decision ever to pass on Fernando Mendoza, because otherwise, what do you have? Kirk Cousins? I mean, what are you going to build without Fernando Mendoza, without a quarterback that you think may be the only generational quarterback in this draft. He just won a national championship. He didn't like back his way into it. It's not as if his defense won him a national title. He won the national title. They go back to that play where he bounced off of like 3 defenders and made his way into the end zone, the diving play into the end zone. That's the kind of guy that I want on my team, even though in the NFL you're not necessarily asking your quarterback to do that a ton, right? You want him to protect himself, but that's the guy you go with. And imagine trading that pick away. I mean, the Raiders could probably move back to like 5 by trading that pick and get another first round, get maybe 2 first-rounders, but still, you don't give away Fernando Mendoza.
You don't, and that's why the draft starts at 2.
Correct.
New York Jets, Peter Schrager has David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech. The New York Jets have felt like the team that screws up quarterbacks year after year, and they may screw up another pick, but it does feel like it's time for there to be a pendulum swing in New York. Like, try to quit worrying about the quarterback. Just go get good players. Go get best player available, right?
Yeah, the Jets and you could also look at the Cleveland Browns like this because they have both screwed up quarterback picks again and again and again. Go build an elite team without a quarterback and then add a quarterback, right? Yeah. That's how they need to operate instead of putting all those eggs in the QB basket.
And we've talked about that. We've talked about the philosophy of taking a quarterback, of drafting really well and sticking a quarterback in later. And I think there's so much truth to that. So David Bailey out of Texas Tech, there is a disagreement among the top mocks out there when it comes to David Bailey. He's a good player. We saw Texas Tech had a really good run last year, but I do think that when you look at this draft, what Peter Schrager and others are mocking, Fernando Mendoza's concrete. Like, we can say that. I don't know that anything else is. And the number 1 pick's not going to be that intriguing. He's not even going to be there tomorrow night, so we're going to be watching him at home, which is whatever. Do your thing. But I think this is no disrespect to the players that are in the mock draft, but I think there's so much unknown when it comes to 2 through 20. Not saying that 2 could go 20 and 20 could go 2, but are we sure that David Bailey's going 2 to the Jets? Are we sure that the Jets don't have any interest in Jeremiah Love at running back? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you do, Cole? When you build a house, what do you start with? You start with the foundation, and having a good defense is the foundation of a house. I mean, a running back, yeah, that's a beautiful spiral staircase. A quarterback is a grand piano sitting in the foyer. But if you're sitting on, a house built on sand, then it's all going to come tumbling down. You got to have good defense. And the Jets were awful on defense last year. They were awful at producing sacks. I mean, think about it this way. They only produced 14.5 sacks last year. That's less than 1 a game. That's not good. That's not going to win you a whole lot of games if you can't get pressure. So they've got to start with the building blocks. And to me, it kind of feels like, copying what we said about the Carolina Panthers strategy of build quietly, build smartly, and then go get the big pop.
Big pop, number 3, Peter Schrager. Maybe going with the big pop, Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. And this is where I think this draft gets interesting, and we'll find out tomorrow night. But, I just don't know where we are. I don't know where teams are when it comes to Jeremiah Love. I know that teams value running back position, and I know that Jeremiah Love's probably the best player available on, 30 NFL teams' boards, right? We all know how good he was in college. But I think that there are so many teams that want Jeremiah Love. I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion that it is the Cardinals. Peter Schrager has Cardinals at number 3, taking Jeremiah Love. They could. They very well could. But he moves the needle. He moves the needle for a lot of teams. And, look, Arizona's been bad. If they add Jeremiah Love, they'll instantly be a better football team. There's no doubt about that. They've still got a lot of other issues out there. But I just don't know. Tennessee at 4. He's projecting them to have Sonny Styles out of Ohio State linebacker. Incredible player, right? If you don't take Sonny Styles, you're probably kicking yourself later. But I just wonder what the difference is. What's the gap? What's the margin between a guy like Jeremiah Love at running back, a guy like Sonny Styles at linebacker, even a guy like Spencer Fano, offensive lineman out of Utah? And I know a lot of teams like it's not sexy to pick an offensive lineman early. I remember when my Cowboys did it with Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel. I was ticked. It's a safe pick. Talk about team building, right? And then you look back and say, oh, maybe that offensive lineman was important. I find the 2 through 7 and 8, when you talk about guys like Carnell Tate, I find this draft hard to peg, and that's why I think it would be a fun exercise to go back and look how these experts did when this thing's all said and done.
Can you think, Cole, of a player who has had this much overthinking surrounding him than Jeremiah Love in recent history? I mean, everybody is hemming and hawing over what they think teams will do. And as a matter of fact, even in this mock draft, Peter Schrager says, look for maybe Arizona to trade back with this pick so that somebody else can jump up. For example, he's got the Chiefs or the Saints potentially moving up to take Arvell Reese. To me at this point, it doesn't have to be that difficult. You don't have to think that hard. He's an elite player. He's an elite running back. Do you want one of those or not? Stop trying to be cute. Go get the player that you want, and then you can feel good about your pick if it works out.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It bugs me when this many teams and this many pundits are all like, "Oh, what should they do? Could he go as high as 3? Will he fall as far as 8 or 9? What could they do? If you need a running back, go get him."
Is reason for that, though, that this draft isn't littered with, like, huge names in the first round? Like, is that a reason for that, maybe, in the sense of, like, Spencer Fano, those who know football know he was a really good offensive lineman at Utah. We know Carnell Tate, obviously, receiver, and Caleb Downs. Like, Ohio State has dudes with Downs, and what's the other guy in the draft that's projected to go pretty high as well? I just don't know. Maybe the reason is because there's not star-studded names across the top. Mansour Delane, quarterback out of LSU, cornerback out of LSU. Good player. Do people know who he is? I think that might be a reason.
I happen to like the fact that there are not that many huge names in this draft because we're not seeing the chatter sphere surrounding guys like Mel Kiper that can sort of affect teams' decision-making by pumping up a guy that necessarily doesn't deserve it. I mean, the hype train can really get rolling a lot of years, and you'll see guys move way up the draft board that have no business being there, and that certainly means guys that go on to be really good players get pushed farther and farther down the draft than they probably rather than which is the sexiest name.
Speaking of guys falling, you know who I think the most intriguing was? Talk about guys falling, big names. I think on the draft, I think I go into this draft and look, Jeremiah Love's a good player. Fernando Mendoza's a good player. That's great. Sonny Styles, really good player out of Ohio State. But for whatever reason, I look at Ruben Bain and I think to myself, that guy intrigues me. His destination, where he goes, that intrigues me more than any of those other guys. I know Jeremiah Love's going to be a good player. Yep. I think Fernando will be a good player for the Las Vegas Raiders. But Ruben Bain, was it last week we brought this up? Mm-hmm. Some reasons as to why there might be some slippage going back a few years ago. But this guy was a heck of a ball player. And how much teams dock him for what happened in that, was it car crash?
Car crash, yeah.
I think this is most if we have to wait until day 2, just from a pure football standpoint, if we have to wait until day 2 to hear Ruben Bain Jr.'s name called, I think it's a travesty. I think it's a travesty. And again, I know the reason why. I get the car accident. I get that it matters, Diesel. Somebody's life was involved. That's important, but this guy feels like he's way too good to go in the second round, doesn't he?
It absolutely does. He's an amazing football player, and whichever team gets him is going to instantly get better at that edge rush position. This car crash happened a couple of years ago, and I'm certainly not giving him a pass for it. He did what he did, and you're right, it cost somebody their lives. But he is an elite football player, and so far,
the court proceedings have not given any teams reason to think he's not going to be available for them. So you got to take what you can take while the guy is available. He's a really good player, and I would hate to see a team pass on him. Now, what's interesting is that, in this mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs are projected to trade up to get Dallas's number 12 pick and get Reuben Bain Jr. And that would be the Chiefs really pulling a fast one on the rest of the league, getting up that high, considering, obviously their dominance. And he would be going to a phenomenal situation.
He would be. I mean, you think of Chris Jones and the staple that he's been with that organization, one of the best players on their roster for the past, it feels like a decade. One of the best players in the NFL. Man, it does feel as if Reuben Bain could be another staple. I don't know that Reuben Bain's ever going to be the caliber of player that Chris Jones is, because Chris Jones is probably a Hall of Famer. But I just think this whole Reuben Bain thing is intriguing, man. The arm, the measurements on this guy, the intangibles, like there's just a lot going for him. And I look at Cassius Howell as well. He's an edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Cassius Howell is an intriguing pick for me. This is what I don't like about the NFL draft. There are so many things that are taken into consideration. For example, Reuben Bain's arm length, right? Cassius Howell's arm length, their ability to grab from the edge position. I think one of them, it was Cassius Howell, measured out at 30 inches, 30 and a quarter, just over 30 inches. That's a big deal all of a sudden. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
There are just so many things in the NFL draft that matter that I don't know in the grand scheme of things. Not saying they don't matter at all, but come on, we do this. We nitpick everything in the draft.
I would love – now this is what I think where some of these pundits should be graded. When it comes to them knocking guys down because of their hand size. What was it? Kenny Pickett a couple of years ago was really knocked because he had little hands. I think it was Kenny Pickett. Now, obviously, he's not a mediocre quarterback because he has small hands. He's a mediocre quarterback because he's a mediocre quarterback. I would love to know how often guys that are docked for seemingly trivial things, like you're talking about 30-inch arms as opposed to a guy that's got 30 and a half inch arms,
it's just
31-inch arms.
What are we doing?
Like, I would love to know their grades on guys that they have pushed down the draft board for trivial reasons and whether or not they end up being good.
Buckeye Mike on the Joy Law Firm text line gets in. He says, I would take Bain in the top 10. He's a beast. We all know he's a beast. We all know what he did at Miami. I don't think anybody denies that, but you had it pulled up. I had it pulled up. Peter Schrager's mock draft.
Yep.
Not saying Peter Schrager is the end-all, be-all here, but where do you see Reuben Bain?
12.
12 to
the
Chiefs. And you mentioned, that's the one you mentioned where they trade up. So that's if – well, that's a trade with Dallas.
Yeah,
that's a trade with Dallas. That would be interesting.
If you're Dallas, are you fine with not being able to take – let's just make it a one-for-one comparison. Are you fine not getting Reuben Bain because of a trade?
No, I'm not fine.
No, you'd rather have the player.
And I don't want him to go to the Chiefs either. I know. I'd rather have the player.
This is not F them picks from Dallas. They need elite young guys.
How do owners, and I think this is one of the more intriguing things that we'll never know when it comes to the draft before we run to a break. How do owners and GMs view things that happen like this situation with Reuben Bain? We talked to Dan Morgan on this show. He spoke to the media last week. I don't know that owners and GMs would ever be completely honest on air about how they deal with these type of things and how it impacts a player.
Yeah.
But let's say he falls past 12. Let's say he falls to day 2, which would be crazy to me. We just talked about that. It just goes to show what owners think. You can pick up a little bit of this from how far a guy falls, just like Shedeur last year, right?
It's true. That's very true.
We'll see.
And and predicting drafts, it's like trying to catch a bubble, right? I mean, it can blow away from you at any moment. These guys, they have their sources, they have their thoughts and their predictions, and what wouldn't it be cool if this happened? But all this stuff is going to get thrown into a blender as soon as that first trade happens.
For sure.
You know, these coaches and these GMs have their thoughts of who they want, and then all of a sudden that guy is gone, and they got to scramble from there to figure things out. But that's what makes the draft fun,
That's
right?
right.
I would rather judge these guys, these mock draft guys, based on what they predict a team's needs are and then who they like. If they're accurate on that, I think that to me matters more than predicting 1 through 32 correctly. When we come back, Cole, there is a battle for the soul of college football, and it is a battle between a 3-letter network and a 4-letter network. This all reporting came out yesterday from Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports. Who's going up against who? What are the interests and stakes involved? And why is there so much crossover between the two committees that may be able to make this thing happen? We'll chat about that next.
Clear and nothing.
Well, it's ESPN versus Fox, Cole. It's protectionism versus expansionism when it comes to what the college football playoff will look like in the years in the near future. ESPN wants to stay right there at 12. And I think a lot of us are saying, yeah, stay right there at 12. Never thought that you'd see that many people shilling for ESPN and their stranglehold on the playoff. But Fox wants to expand this thing to 24. Your thoughts on a 2014 playoff?
How
much do you hate it?
You're telling me that Fox, a TV network outlet, wants more TV
Yeah.
games. Oh, I'm so shocked.
Yeah.
I am so surprised by that. I mean, that a television network would want more games that could be on television.
So-
Again, what does it come back to? People that
Money.
the people that are making those decisions could care less about anything other than, we get more games on TV.
Yeah. And they know that ESPN currently holds the contract to broadcast all 12 of the college football playoff games. But in the contract, Cole, it says that if it goes past 14, the other games, which in this case would be 10 from 14 to 24, the other 10 games would be available for bid. And that Fox, being embedded as it is, as they are right now with the Big Ten Network, would be the prime recipient of those 10 other football games.
Yeah, look, do I love it? No. 10 up for bid?
Yeah.
What you said?
Yeah.
That's a big number. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Does it impact 24? I mean, 24, if there were to be 24. Does it impact the regular season? You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. And again, it's just a matter of, like, I guess to answer this, and we've talked about this a lot, it's a matter of what you want. You want a regular season that means less? Do you want a regular season that means more? Personally, I think we're already in a sport in college football where the season gets worse as the season goes on. That's just my opinion.
Interesting.
And I don't know that does this fix that?
I'm not sure that it does. So here's how all this is going down, Colin. If you ever wonder, like, the power brokers who are always the ones that seem to be in the room deciding these things and pushing things in certain directions, yes, we as the fans are all over social media saying, don't expand.
Yeah.
Don't expand. Don't do this. Well, guess what? We, the fans who love the sport, don't think the same way as the folks in very expensive suits who are in these boardrooms. The problem is, Cole, and we're just finding this out, that there are multiple committees who are talking about this from a football governance standpoint, who also happen to be on the committees that are appointed by the government.
Yeah.
Again, this is what happens when you bring government into things. They're in the same committees that are now pushing recommendations potentially towards Congress when it comes to making laws that would allow this to happen. Here's how this went down.
Okay.
All this is reported by Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports. You can go check it out. One college football playoff committee member said that we asked for government help with NIL, and now they're getting themselves involved in the playoff. There is a 14-person presidential media committee. Its existence, supported by the White House, is holding real conversations about the future of the postseason, and there is coalescing around 24. Just so happens to be that some of those 14 White House presidential media committee members are the Power Four conference champions, the American Conference Commissioner, and Pete Bevacqua from Notre Dame, and ESPN and Fox executives. Those same people are in the College Football Governance Committee, and they are pushing this thing through. So they're rubber stamping an expansion to 24. You know who doesn't like this? You know who doesn't want this? Greg Sankey of the SEC. He is the loudest voice in the room saying, absolutely not. We want to protect our conference championship game. And if we go to 24, we essentially have no choice but to kill our $80 million a year cash cow of the SEC championship game.
It's a lot of money you bring in from a championship game. There's no doubt. And we've talked about it. If conference championships will go anywhere, as long as there's that price tag associated with it, then I think it seems like it's okay. But no, I mean you can't have a I mean they're already. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I believe. They're already maybe in question for next year. So Do I love college football. Do I feel like a 24-team college football playoff would excite me as a fan more than I am now? No, not really. I hate to say that. I want to be team college football, and I'm excited, and they're getting better, but nothing they've done in the past 5 to 10 years really has excited me to be more engaged with what's happening.
Yeah, this is what happens when you allow big-time networks to get their grubby fingers into college football conferences. Like I was telling you, Fox owns a controlling stake in the Big Ten network, and Fox knows that if they go past the current 12-team format, that those additional games hit the open market, and by God, they just happen to be sitting there with a big old bucket full of cash.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So,
it really will be. Hey, how about this big college football news, Diesel? Keeping it college football. This just broke about 30 minutes ago. Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer has received a new 7-year deal with a $12.5 million annual salary. So Kalen DeBoer today gets paid. DeBoer 20-8 in 2 seasons at Bama with 1 college football playoff appearance, but $12.5 million. That is a 7-year extension for Kalen DeBoer, and we know how the first 2 years have gone. Look, 20-8, it's a good record, but we also know what the expectations are in Alabama, right, in Tuscaloosa. So compared to expectations, 20-8's not getting it done.
Where's
now
he
you
going?
get the coach. Oh, he's not going anywhere.
Where's he going? Why do you need to give him a 7-year extension?
7-year. Is that wild? I mean, they've locked that guy down for the next decade, it feels like. He's already been there 2 yet. I mean, almost a decade. He'll have been there.
There's a whole lot of people wearing crimson and white right now that are marching on the athletic department's office right now saying, what are you doing giving this bum 7 years?
I'd like to know how Alabama fans do feel. For those in the upstate, and I know there are a lot because Bama fans are littered everywhere. The bandwagon Bama fans that just popped up randomly 10, 15 years ago in the upstate that never had any ties or allegiance to Bama before. They started winning. It's the same thing when you have Dodgers fans in the upstate and Golden State Warriors fans a few years ago, right?
At least we know Smitty is not a bandwagon Dodgers fan.
No.
He is through and through diehard.
He's through and through. But 9 out of 10 Alabama fans that you meet in the upstate, they've just started pulling for Alabama within the last 10, 12 years. And that's fine.
If I see a new Alabama sticker on the back of an old car, I know that your kid probably just got accepted there.
Yeah.
Like you weren't a fan until this year.
You rode the Nick Saban wave, now Kalen DeBoer. So Bama fans in the upstate, who's the big Bama Tolo we have? Bama Springer. Is that right? We hear from him once every 3 years, right? It's time for him to call in, 844-326-3663.
No cell reception on the back porch, you know?
Might not be. Look, is it the right move, wrong move? Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I think everybody knows that he can coach. He had a proven track record when he got hired at Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Bama fans are ecstatic about it, though? Probably not.
Remember, though, it took Nick Saban a couple of years to get things really rolling.
But the difference is, DeBoer was handed the keys,
I get it, but it's hard, you know. It's like, if you're used to driving Porsches all your life and somebody puts you into a Maserati, you may say, man, I'm not really sure where these buttons are. Like, I need to roll down the window. Where is that button? It's supposed to be on the door, but for some reason it's on the center console, and it takes a little time to get that figured out.
Well, texter from the 207 gets in and says, I love the extension. And maybe you do. And I don't know if that's a Bama fan or an Auburn fan or who it is. It might be an Auburn fan. No, I'm just kidding. Look, here's my
thing. Is that Shane Barrett?
Yeah, really. I like Kalen DeBoer. I think, to your point, yes, you do have to be patient with the guy. How patient? Not like 7 years patient. I'll tell you this. I don't mind the extension. I don't mind it one bit. But in 7 years, he's been there for 2. He gets 7 more. Obviously, things can happen between now and then.
Yeah.
But I will say, on the 7-year extension, Alabama should have at least 1 national championship and have played for another.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that in 7 years, he has to play in 2 for it to be worth it. Win 1, lose 1. I don't really punish people for losing a national championship like a lot of people do, or losing. You made it there, right? I think he's got to win, though. I think he's got to win a national championship within the next 5 years, really.
I agree. This landscape of college football just got a seismic shift, and I don't know that we're going to see a ton of those dynasties for a while, not until something major changes. What I do find really interesting about this is the buyout is really not that big. I mean, the buyout starts at $10 million starting in 2027, and it decreases by $2 million a year after that. So it
starts at what, Diesel?
Starts at 10, and then it decreases from there. So after two, it decreases by $2 million after each of the next 2 years. So I guess 2029 it goes to 8.
Okay.
2031 it goes to 6. I mean, that's not an unmanageable number, especially when we've seen the buyouts, that really saddled A&M and really saddled LSU and how much money they're spending on buyouts. It's absolutely nuts. I would have expected the number to be higher. Look, he's getting a huge, huge raise and a big old payday, and congratulations to him. But the number is actually not all that big if they want to send him packing.
It's interesting. We'll talk more about that coming up. Diesel, for the first time in over 4 decades, something happening in Spartanburg that hadn't happened in a long, long time. A program in the upstate plays football this year. Again, for the first time in over 4 decades, we'll tell you who the next head coach is, who's the guy leading this program that hadn't stepped foot on a football field in over 4 decades. We'll talk to him, tell you who it is.
listen on the Fan Upstate.
Well, a lot of you Tolos in the upstate, especially in Spartanburg, I'm sure have heard of Spartanburg Day School. You know, there was a pretty good player that came out of Spartanburg Day School that now plays in the NBA. But for the first time in over 4 decades, varsity football is officially back at Spartanburg Day School, and we're excited about it. To talk about it, we bring on Patrick Moffitt, the new head varsity football coach who's already been at Spartanburg Day for a few years building the program. Coach, appreciate you hopping on with us for a few minutes here on this Wednesday. This is awesome. This is groundbreaking for Spartanburg Day School. Talk about what it's been like to try to figure out how to build this thing from the ground up when you really haven't had a blueprint.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me on. And yeah, to answer your question, you know, when I first heard about this opportunity and had a chance to speak to Mike Serino, our athletic director, and Dave Skeen, our head of school, you know, they had a vision and plan of what they were looking to do with implementing a football program at the school. And, you know, in talking to them, I was kind of really drinking the Kool-Aid and buying into what they were saying. They were really speaking my language. You know, I came from a school where I had to rebuild a program, an already existing program. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but just kind of the vision and plan they had, not just for the football program, but for the whole school and the school community as well, really resonated with me. And, you know, we've been at it for almost 2 years now, and I've seen a lot of good progress.
Coach, what would your pitch have been to get Zion on your football team? You know, you hear stories about LeBron playing a little linebacker too. How hard would you have put on that full court press for Zion?
Very hard. I think he obviously would have been a huge red zone threat. You know, any critical situation, definitely a guy that can go up and get the ball. So I think he could have been a very successful football player here for us.
Coach, it's funny you bring up the program that you had to rebuild. Obviously, you spent some time in Delaware. A 2-part question here. Number one, how in the world did you find South Carolina from Delaware? Number two, how difficult, what are the challenges behind building a program from basically scratch?
Yeah, so first of all, I've been kind of looking to get down to this area of the country for a while. A lot of my family actually moved down this way not too long ago, so they're a little bit north in North Carolina. But so this kind of area of the country was intriguing to me. And kind of starting from scratch, again, I think it was just there's a lot of excitement around it when they announced that they were going to bring football back. So a lot of the kids that were interested in football, you know, had that excitement about them. So it wasn't really too difficult to get them out there and you know, into it from that end. But the best part about it really is, and probably the toughest part about it, is that growth and progress, you know, with the players. I think that's definitely the most rewarding aspect of it. And, you know, obviously different players move at different paces and everything, but it's a great community to work in because we have a lot of great kids at this school, and they've all done a great job, again, of buying into what we're looking to do. And starting from scratch, it's actually kind of neat because, you know, you can kind of set the program expectations and the norms that you're looking for without any kind of preconceived notions of what it should look like or has to look like. So, you know, we're really able to kind of mold the program the way we want. And, again, we're moving in the right direction. I'm really proud of, you know, what we've been able to do so far.
You know, Coach, if two guys like Cole and I are in that meeting room when we're even talking about feasibility of football, the answer from both of us is a very quick yes. Yes, get football back here as soon as possible. We love football. But from the institutional side of things, why was it so important to them to bring back football? Obviously, basketball had been getting a lot of attention, a lot of success. Mm-hmm. Why was football so important to the powers that be there at Spartanburg Day?
Yeah, I think for a couple different reasons. Obviously, at a place like Spartanburg Day School, we're always evolving and trying to, you know, provide our students with the best opportunities and experiences that you can have, you know, throughout your, you know, middle school and high school career, and even lower. We are a 2K, you know, through 12 school. And, you know, football is a sport that kind of really gets community spirit going. And that's one thing, you know, we're really looking forward to starting this fall, that we'll have a guaranteed 5 Friday nights every fall to kind of get the community together and really bring everyone together from that end. And then, you know, from the school is obviously always expanding and growing as well. And just from an enrollment standpoint, you know, it's another option for kids in the area who are into football, looking for a good education, to come here and get the best of both worlds from that end.
We're joined by Coach Patrick Moffitt, the new varsity head football coach for the first time in over 4 decades at Spartanburg Day School in Spartanburg. For those that don't know a lot about Spartanburg Day School, Coach, you hinted at a few things right there, but go into depth on what Spartanburg Day School looks like from an educational institute.
Yeah, so, it's one of the best places you're going to find, in the upstate, for educational opportunities. We have a lot of dedicated and committed faculty members here, both in and outside of the classroom. Anyone in their specific discipline is extremely passionate about that. So whether that be, academics, athletics, or the arts. Another great thing here, too, is our faculty are involved in a lot. So we're big on the teacher-coach model, where we're hiring faculty members who are able to teach in the classroom and also go out and coach on the football field or the tennis courts or whatever it may be. With the football program in general, we've been able to kind of really get that going. We've hired a couple great teachers already in Andrew Vaught, who is a former Wofford football player, graduated last spring after transferring over from Toledo. He's been great both for our football program, basketball program, track program. Another coach we hired from a football standpoint, Chris Cormier, who's a middle school math teacher and does great in the classroom and works great with the kids in the football program and also golf program. He's actually a state-winning championship quarterback at St. Thomas Aquinas and was offensive coordinator at St. Thomas Aquinas for a while down in Florida. So just a lot of appealing things from that end where you're going to kind of get a lot of different opportunities and experiences at an independent school like Spartanburg Day School that you may not be able to get at other places.
Coach, as you know, I'm sure we have the NFL draft tomorrow. I'm going to put you in a position with the Raiders, okay? And I'm the other 31 teams. Is there anything at all that I can throw at you to get you to move off of Fernando Mendoza at number 1?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no. And to be honest with you, I hadn't seen a ton of Indiana games this year, but that last game there against Miami, especially that play when he broke like 6 tackles and got into the end zone, kind of told me everything I need to know about him. I think he's definitely a franchise guy, number 1 pick that you go with.
Coach, my last question for you. How does your roster size, which I would imagine is smaller compared to other programs in the upstate, how does your roster size dictate what kind of offense and defense you want to run?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to dictate it a lot. So anyone, I think, who has coached against me or played for me or anything along those lines, I'm a guy who's not afraid to throw it around out there, but we're also going to, play to our strengths and do what we're best at. So, we will be a little bit smaller roster size from that line, but with the guys we actually have on our roster, we do have some big physical size up front. We definitely look like a high school offensive and defensive line up front, from that end. But really, again, it's going to kind of dictate what happens during camp, and what we, can get good at. And I always say every year, if we can get really good at, 2 or 3 running plays and 2 or 3 pass concepts, that's what we're going to go with. But we're going to find kind of what our bread and butter is, whether it's something in the pass game, something in the run game, and kind of really hammer that home.
Coach, is your roster going to be small enough that you'll have guys playing 2 ways? And if it is, what kind of traits do you see out of those insane players that want to play on offense and defense?
Yeah, we'll definitely be having guys going both ways. We won't have the luxury of having 11 different guys starting on defense from the 11 different guys starting on offense. But our kids are all about it. They've really bought in. They love being out there and on the field and competing. We've been big with strength and conditioning with them as well. They've been working hard from that end, and we'll really be ramping it up, as we start. But again, we just have a lot of great kids that are willing to kind of do what it takes to get out there. And, we even have kids on each side of the ball that are playing on both sides of the ball, but also playing multiple positions on each side of the ball as well. So,
they're all smart kids. They have the brain capacity for that and are able to go out and execute for us.
Well, Coach, congratulations. We're excited to see how it unfolds. And as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it again.
Absolutely. Patrick Moffitt, the first, and for a long time, I say first, the first head football coach in nearly 4 decades. It's been that long since Spartanburg Day School has had varsity football, so excited for that. Really cool for those guys to be able to add varsity football over in Spartanburg, Diesel.
We got a Tolo that has messaged in on the stream, says, Coach Moffitt, so happy to have you at Spartanburg Day School. Coach Moffitt has worked miracles with a small roster thus far in middle school and JV football. His players play both sides of the ball with true vigor and dedication.
How about it?
Wow, what a glowing endorsement. Awesome. Good luck to him. They're in Region 2, 2A. Colin, I'm excited to have him on maybe again when we do a deep dive into high school football. When we come back, Cole, as we get into the 4th hour of the show, the Mets are on an historic losing streak. What does it say about their chances and a dubious stat that they don't want to have on their kind of resume? That's coming up next.
Clear.
look at that, Cole. We come to a new location here at 1335 Stallings Road in Greenville, and we start meeting new Tolos who said they've been listening to the show for a while. That's awesome.
Long time.
Shout out to Tolo Rhodes that just came by. He said that he lives off the first fairway over at Pebble Creek Golf Course, which is right down that road right there. And I said, sorry, man, if I broke a window in your house, that's my bad. He'll pay for it.
That rolls off the tongue. Tolo Road.
Tolo Road.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know what's bad about this Stallings Road location? Not bad about the store, but today was the first time, and this just tells you how familiar I am with Greenville. Not being from here, I'm from Spartanburg, obviously, for those that don't know. I had never heard of Stallings Road before.
Really? No. I mean, you've been to Wade Hampton High School before, right?
Yeah, a million times.
And that's like 2 miles
right
that way.
It's right there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I put it in the GPS, and I was like, Stallings Road?
You know,
never heard of it.
Here's my criticism of the city of Greenville. They don't necessarily make it easy to move from area to area of Greenville. Right, there's this side of town, then there's the Greer side of town, there's the TR side of town, Wade Hampton, like all of it. It's sort of you got to go through you got to go through the city to get where you want to get to. Right, it's not like it's designed like a wagon wheel where there's spurs coming out of downtown to take you to all the areas.
Everybody can be Spartanburg.
Oh,
Diesel.
yeah.
I get it.
Hey,
I get it.
I give Spartanburg a tremendous amount of credit because I love the way that, especially downtown Spartanburg, and you being a Spartanburger,
that's right. Get it right. Get
you
it right.
may not love how much downtown Spartanburg is growing, but I
love
the way they've built it. You know, Greenville's that long, skinny, straight downtown on Main Street. Spartanburg, they figured out, make it a grid, start from the city center, and move outwards.
I'll say this: the only bad thing is the major parking that most people use downtown. They're renovating it right now, putting the garage there. So there is like, if there was no parking downtown Spartanburg before, there's none now. And I mean, like I went Saturday night, I think I went downtown, and Saturday afternoon, and parking. Yep. That's the only bad thing.
See, Asheville did figure that out. They built a bunch of parking garages, and they made them look okay with, sort of those the perforated steel sheets on the outside that you can paint and make it look like artwork. Greenville is slowly figuring out that, hey, we got to build some more parking garages. Spartanburg is a little behind there.
I'm glad you brought that up with Asheville. This is how, like, I guess easily amused I am, but I was in Asheville today, and I noticed weird little things, right? I noticed little things. And I love the outdoors. I love, like, different seasons. We love spring. You know what I noticed today, though? And this is going to kind of sound dumb because we all know that the weather in Asheville is different than the weather here. But I didn't realize it was, like, that noticeable. The reason I say that is spring's like 2 weeks behind there.
Yeah.
You look out here, look at all these trees. They're already dark green.
Well, we saw, somebody texted in last week and said they were still scraping snow off the field. Now, granted, this is in Colorado, but there are places up north that are getting punched with major weather.
It was me asking about the ivy on the Chicago Cubs, right?
There it was. Yeah. Then just
why is there no ivy?
But you're right. Asheville is always it's always 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
And it's only an hour away.
Right, but it's also higher up in elevation.
That is crazy to me. I mean, everything up there that was just not just blooming, but it was still light green. And then you come here and it's like, we're only an hour away, but it's crazy.
Dude,
you're right.
I'm going to tell you about shocking. Like, when I go out and visit family in New Mexico, everything there is brown. Right?
Yeah.
Everything is brown. It's the color of dirt. And then there's no trees anywhere. So you can drive down a highway, and you can see for like 10 miles in all directions, and it's absolutely gorgeous scenery. But then you come here, everything is green. It looks like somebody just turned the saturation on your TV.
Different part of the world.
Way up. It's just a strange thing. Speaking of strange things, Cole, these New York Mets, which I know Braves fans, you don't have a whole lot of love lost for the New York Mets. They are in a tough spot right now because the New York Mets have somehow found a way to drop 12 straight baseball games. And here's where that gets tricky. Sure, they could rebound and they could have a pretty good season after this, but no Major League Baseball team in the history of Major League Baseball has ever lost 12 in a row in a season gone on to make the playoffs.
Love it.
It does not happen.
Makes you just so
Obviously,
happy.
If you're capable of losing 12 in a row, you're a terrible baseball team, so you're unlikely to be able to turn it around. Usually that means also you're going to be a seller. You're going to be able to you're going to want to get rid of any assets that you have. But wow, The Mets, they just keep finding ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Kind of makes you giddy, doesn't it? When you hear that, when you hear that there's no team that's ever lost 12 in a row that's made the playoff. Well, look, a lot of things in factor here. Number one, I've said this many times on this show, especially recently with baseball just starting up. My biggest problem with the Braves the last 2 years was what? You know it. I've said it a million. The stars didn't step up. The stars weren't playing like stars. Look at the Mets right now. The guys that are eating up their salary cap are not playing well. Yeah. Francisco Lindor Diesel is the major problem. He is the number one problem in New York. He is getting all this money, and he is batting right now 209. 209. So, again, there's a lot of reasons. But when you're just barely above the Mendoza line and Lindor's making all of this money, eating up your salary, by the way, he is on a 10-year, $341 million contract. That was an extension from 2 years ago. This guy, Lindor, is just dropping the ball. It starts with him in New York. They're bad.
Who was it, the White Sox 2 years ago that were so historically bad?
Sure.
We wanted them to keep losing so that they could set a record for the most number of losses ever.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it was just pathetic
And then,
how bad that team was. But the Mets, I don't think they're that bad, but, I mean, time will tell. Anything could happen.
And they went and got Semien, and, you know, Simeon's been a good player, and it's like, okay, what's wrong with this guy all of a sudden? Marcus Semien right now is batting 225. So he's not as bad as Lindor, but Semien, I mean, my gosh, at home, he's averaging 108. He's averaging 108 in his own ballpark. So I don't know. Last 7 days, Semien, 5 games played, 16 at-bats, 6 hits, 0 home runs, 1 RBI. They're just not stepping up. The guys, too many strikeouts in big moments. Clutch hitting is non-existent right now in New York. You ask why? It's a mystery. I mean, we've asked it for the past 2 years when it comes to the Braves and other teams. Why aren't the stars shining in New York?
Over their last 12, and this really bad stretch of 12 straight losses for the Mets, they have lost 6 games in which they led at some point in the game. I mean, they cannot hold on to leads, and that is such a frustrating place to be if you're a fan. You know, they're not a good hitting baseball club right now, but somehow they keep finding ways to get leads on teams. They just can't hang on to it. And one of their closers, Devin Williams, he's basically become the punching bag for this situation, Cole. He came into the game yesterday against the Twins, tied, by the way. He faced 5 batters, retired 0 of them, walked 3, and gave up the final 2 runs that ultimately cost him the game.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
And here's the crazy thing about Devin Williams. He actually was really good at the start of the season. Through his 5 first appearances, he had a perfect ERA. After that, it's been all downhill. He's given up 7 runs over 1 1/3 innings, and he is just falling off a cliff.
Well, let me tell you the bad news for Braves fans. You ready? Here's the bad news. You say, Cole, what bad news? They suck. You just said that no teams lost 12 games in a row and never made the playoffs?
Correct.
What bad news? The bad news is this. Carlos Mendoza will be fired. This is his 3rd season in New York. I believe he finished 3rd in the NL East his first year, second his first, 3rd last year. They're dead last right now. Carlos Mendoza is going to be fired, and that's bad because New York's got talent. They've got money. They'll go hire somebody that's a good a good manager, and we don't want that. We want Carlos Mendoza to receive an extension. We want him to stick around forever, right? But you look at that roster with Semien, Lindor. There's just Alvarez. Alvarez, by the way, last night went 0 for 4. There's way too many guys that just aren't stepping up.
And they'll get Juan Soto back here soon. Juan Soto's been out for a while. He's supposed to return tonight. For the Mets tonight, the Mets will face the Twins again. 7-16 on the season for the Mets. They need offense in a terrible, terrible way. It's just been rough for them. So,
well, I again, you're not going to hear me crying about it. You're not going to hear me complaining about it. I absolutely love it. And look at the NL East right now. By the way, we mentioned earlier in the show the Braves lost last night, which is bad because you don't want to lose. But you're still 4.5 games up. Oh, that means the Marlins won today. Let's see. It was 5. So let's check. There's been a lot of early get-out-of-town games today. The Marlins must have beaten somebody.
4-1 over the Cardinals.
They beat the Cardinals. So
12
there you
hits
go.
for the Marlins. They're putting bat to ball.
Yeah, so the Marlins win today. They're one game below 500, which means the lead goes from 4.5 to 5. If the Braves take care of business, though, tonight, it can go back to 5. The Nationals are only 5 games back, and that's who the Braves are playing right now. The Phillies are 7.5 games back. The Mets are 8.5 games back. The Mets now 7-16 on the season. They're 3-7 at home. They've won 3 games. They have won 3 games at home this year. Like, you just can't explain that. So I don't know. I mean, like this NL East, what's interesting about it is you can't say, like, right now it's not good, but every other year it feels like this division has the chance to be a really good baseball division. Look at the talent. Just go look at the talent the NL East has had over the past 10 years. It is unbelievable. Some years it's good, some years it's bad. Right now it's bad other than the Braves.
Little baseball scoreboard for you. Games that have already gone final today. Like we just mentioned, Marlins 4-1 over the Cardinals. The Tampa Bay Rays won 6-1 over the Reds. The Astros of Houston have gotten a win over the Guardians. They're way below 500, the Astros are. And the Orioles beat the Kansas City Royals 8-6. Last one here for you. Mike Trout had himself a decent day for the Angels. They got a 7-3 win over the Blue Jays. Both of those teams sub 500. So, you know, we're in the weak part of the schedule for the day. Not the best teams playing early in the day. And the only ones that are any good, well, they keep losing.
And you mentioned their collapse, going back to the Mets for a second. The Mets had the lead last night.
Yeah.
They had the lead last night, and they blew it.
Half of their losses in this 12-game stretch, they held the lead at some point in the game.
I mean, they blew it. Their closer signed a $45 million deal. He blew it last night. Talking about Williams. It's just unbelievable. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. The Braves tonight, you can go back to 5 games, 5-game lead. Who did we say was on the mound tonight? It's a new guy, Fuentes. Fuentes is on the mound in Washington, D.C. The Nationals, they're a good team. I mean, they're 11-13, 2 games below 500, but I think this Nationals team, here's the team I think in the NL East that you'll see get better throughout the year. I think the Nationals will get better. Got a good manager. I like the talent. They have decent pitching, and the Braves need a win tonight. It's a 4-game series, remember. Remember, it's a 4-game series, so if they can just win tonight, they will not lose the series. So you mentioned this earlier, the streak will continue, and some pitching news is reported from Mark Bowman with MLB.com. The Braves will go with Holmes on Friday, Elder on Saturday, Sell on Sunday. So you've got Fuentes tonight. They close out the series tomorrow at 1:05 with Martin Perez. And then you're going to go Holmes Friday. You're hosting the Phillies. Remember, you just played them. Bryce Elder on Saturday, Chris Sale on Sunday. Tonight, these will available relievers for the Braves tonight. Suarez, Lee, and Kenley. Dodd will not be available tonight from what I'm reading now. So there's your scoop on tonight's Braves game.
Unfortunately for the Braves, they will not get these New York Mets until June. So that'll be essentially 2 months back, basically, with Juan Soto. Maybe they're still terrible at the time, and you can feel good about beating up on the little guy, but who knows? Hopefully the Mets don't figure it out by then, and the Braves can kind of put boot to throat and keep the New York Mets down. But not an enviable way to start the season for the Mets. Still not as bad as it could be, though. When you look at all-time losing streaks across all sports, 12 doesn't seem that bad, Cole. The Philadelphia 76ers lost 28 straight from 2014 in the 2014-15 season, and then 15-16. They lost 10 straight to end one season, and they lost 18 straight to start the next season. I mean, what an awful way to start a new year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers once lost 26 straight football games back in the 70s. In 1988, the Orioles lost 21 straight. The Cleveland Cavaliers lost 26 straight from 2010 through 2011. And, of course, when you're talking all-time awful, awful baseball, you're talking about the Cleveland Spiders that in 1899, Cole, finished 20-134 with 24 straight losses in that season. It got so bad that teams wouldn't even travel to Cleveland to play. They had to play most of their games on the road.
That is bad. That is bad. Let's see. Texter says it's the curse of Mambino. You got to look it up. I saw it earlier, Texter, about the hug with Mr. Met, and my only thing with that is they were not good before they hugged. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really a curse when the Mets have been bad all year.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Yankees fans in New York that are like, yeah, curse the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. So here's what's coming up for the Braves over the next few weeks, Diesel. The 2 of the Nationals this week, today and tomorrow. 3-game stretch with the Phillies Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's in Atlanta. And then you have the Tigers Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A 3-game stretch there. You have an opportunity to close out the month really strong. If you can split this series or win it with Washington, take 2 of 3 from Philly. The Tigers, I think, is a very winnable series. And then you look at May. You start the month of May with the Colorado Rockies. Then you go to Seattle. Hey, only thing about that Seattle road trip is you have the Dodgers while you're out there for 3 games. So we're going to get a really good litmus test, Diesel, in, 10, 15 days. On how good this Braves team is.
Yeah.
When they play the Dodgers and the Cubs back-to-back and the Red Sox. Look, things are going to get tough. Schedule's going to get tougher, but the Braves have set themselves up with a really good start.
Yeah, but 15 days from now, they ought to be getting everybody back to full strength if they come off that 15-day IL quickly. So, these Braves ought to be in good shape health-wise by then.
I certainly hope so. Tolos, in case you missed it earlier, we had a great conversation with Travis Hancock, good friend of the show, WFNZ. We will have that interview for you where we talked Carolina Panthers, the draft tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow's show will be a very draft-heavy day, and we talked to Travis earlier, in case you missed it, with Travis Hancock at WFNZ in Charlotte. Next.
Clear.